Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Wrong Interrogation Room, the first cracked case shocked the world. Chapter 41. The Scarf Hot Search. It was the video of Ning Cheng driving a police car into the National Drift Corner competition. The video recorded the process of Ning Cheng police car overtaking one professional racing car after another. When the speed was increased to the extreme, the audience watching the video felt thrilling and exciting. Netizens commented below. There used to be a famous mountain bike god in autumn, and now there is a 431 national road bike god, and the masters are indeed among the people. The police car can surpass countless modified racing cars with superior performance. The skills of the people in the police car are ridiculously strong, and they completely crush the country. The last drift burst, and goosebumps came up. Don't ask me why I'm kneeling watching the video. Who is the person in the police car? Is it the police on duty? I'm so curious who the person in the police car is. I hope Zhongcheng officials can announce it. In the comments under the video hot search, countless netizens are curious about Ning Cheng's identity and want to know what task Ning Cheng is performing. For this reason, many netizens have at Zhongsheng Guan Wang. The drug criminal Gao Tianlong is involved in a drug ecological chain. The news is temporarily blocked, and the official account of Zhongcheng has not disclosed more details. Only 2 lines of comments simply admit that the operation was planned by the Zhongcheng police. Those who clearly violate the interests of the people will be punished even if they are far away. Even if they escape to the ends of the earth, the Zhongcheng police will never let a criminal go. Quote, the reply from Zhongcheng's official account satisfied the curiosity of netizens and made the hot search hot again. In the police station, everyone was eating melons. When they looked at the lightning-fast white police car in the hot search, it seemed to return to the thrilling scene last night. Look at Ning Cheng again. The clouds are light and the wind is light. The gap between people is reflected again. He is so handsome and proficient in various skills. I can still drive. It's incomparable. There is simply no way out. Woo woo woo. JPG. All the old and new policemen are wailing in their hearts. Ning Cheng, you did a great job this time. The security team can't hold your big Buddha. In the afternoon, the director Zhang Chao called Ning Cheng to the office and said with a chuckle, I want to transfer you to the Criminal Investigation Brigade, but there are 4 groups in the Criminal Investigation Brigade who want to rob you. Which group do you want to be in? Can you introduce the 4 groups of the Criminal Investigation Brigade? I don't know much about it. Ning Cheng's eyes lit up and asked directly. He had always wanted to join the Criminal Investigation Brigade. It's just that the Criminal Investigation team recruits personnel strictly, and it is difficult for newcomers to enter during the probationary period. However, with repeated cases and successful arrests, even though Ning Cheng is still a trainee, there is no obstacle to joining the Criminal Investigation team. Since you don't know, then I'll just call them over and introduce them to you one by one. After a while, the 4 captains of the Criminal Investigation Brigade entered the office. Zhang Chao introduced to Ning Cheng. The Criminal Investigation Brigade in the police station is divided into 4 groups. This is Zhang Tianxi, the leader of Group 1, Zhou Zi, the leader of Group 2, Shen Zhengyan, the leader of Group 3, and Zhou Ziyan, the leader of Group 4. You have all seen the 4 captains. Standing in front of you is the newcomer Ning Cheng. He is a talent with great potential. Who wants to join the Criminal Investigation team? If you want it, then you can recommend yourself, recommend the advantages of your group. Who doesn't want Ning Cheng? Team 1, Cheng Zhang Tianxi looked around 40, laughed and said, if Xiao Ning came to me, I would definitely cover you. Lao Zhang, don't rob, Xiao Ning, I also like it. Team 3 Captain Shen Zhengyan said immediately, Ning Cheng, why don't you come to me? The 3 teams are all experienced criminal policemen. You can learn a lot when you come something. Ning Cheng, our partner can definitely solve a lot of big cases. Our 4th team welcomes you. Zhou Ziyan looked at Ning Cheng with confidence and smiled slightly. Another thing to tell you, the 4 groups have the highest detection rate in the Criminal Investigation Brigade, and you will definitely not lose if you come. Zhang Tianxi and Shen Zhengyan's 2 criminal investigation captains changed their faces and couldn't help but smile bitterly. As a police flower in the police station, Zhou Ziyan is not a small temptation to young people. Moreover, Zhou Ziyan is powerful, and she really has the most 4 groups to solve cases. Team 2 leader Zhou Zi kept his eyes on Ning Cheng and was the last to speak. He approached Ning Cheng to understand what Ning Cheng wanted most. Xiao Ning, you have been in contact with me. You should know who I am, Zhou Zi. There are no stereotypes and bad habits in the two groups, and there will be no phenomenon of seniority ranking. If Ning Cheng you join the second group, I won't interfere with you. I will try my best to give you the greatest freedom and cooperation to solve the case. In addition, in the criminal investigation team, the detection rate of two groups is second only to four groups. If you join, you can overtake four groups. Thank you for the recommendation of the captains. I choose two groups. After listening to Zhou Zi's story, Ning Cheng chose two groups without hesitation. Among the four captains of the Criminal Investigation Brigade, Ning Cheng has only had contact with Zhou Zi and Zhou Zian. He has good senses for both captains. Moreover, Zhou Zi and Zhou Zian are both very capable, and they can really learn a lot from them. But if you have to choose between Zhou Zi and Zhou Zian, Ning Cheng was still a little uncomfortable staying under a girl from Zhou Zian. Most importantly, the conditions offered by Captain Zhou Zi made Ning Cheng very excited. He does not interfere in solving cases, cooperates as much as possible, has a high degree of freedom, and is very suitable for him. Hearing Ning Cheng's reply, Zhou Zian glared at Ning Cheng. Even if you join two groups, the highest detection rate will still be four groups. Ning Cheng didn't speak. He believed that results were the best proof. Ha ha ha, it seems that brother Ning Cheng has the vision. Zhou Zi laughed proudly and walked out of the office with his arms around Ning Cheng's shoulders. After joining the Criminal Investigation Team 2, Zhou Zi held a welcome meeting for Ning Cheng and met many new and old members of the two teams. At the same time, a system prompt sounded in Ning Cheng's mind. Congratulations to the host for successfully arresting the drug criminal Zhao Tianlong and stifling the threat. You can reap the following rewards. Reward 1. World-class evidence identification experience. Reward 2. Future trends of U.S. stocks for a week. Looking at the two labels on the system panel, Ning Cheng's heart moved. The trend of U.S. stocks in the coming week is undoubtedly a reward for making money, which is not surprising. Now Ning Cheng already has a shares, and the future trend of Hong Kong stocks is not very short of money. It is a world-class evidence identification experience, which seems to be a good case-solving skill. Subsequently, several days in a row, Ning Cheng is familiar with the work of the criminal investigation team, low-key and calm. But this peaceful day was finally broken. Ning Cheng, there is a murder in our jurisdiction. Zhou Zi, the captain of Criminal Investigation Team 2, rushed to Ning Cheng's side and said, I have another case in hand right now. If I can't get out of the way, take Mu Xiaoyu and two other groups to see it. This time, more than a dozen police officers from Criminal Investigation Team 2 looked at each other in dismay. Leading a team is a privilege only the captain has. Although Ning Cheng has good ability to solve cases, he is still inexperienced. Can he be competent? When confronted with a case, Ning Cheng did not give in politely, and immediately asked. Okay, what case? The specifics are not yet clear. The caller said that her grandmother was killed and her home was robbed. You lead the team to see it. Ning Cheng put down the document and nodded. Since Captain Zhou Zi has delegated authority, Ning Cheng won't be polite either. He doesn't pay much attention to the struggle for power. Ning Cheng just wants to solve the case, catch the killer and avoid more casualties. Who do you want to take with you in Group 2? Zhou Zi looked around the two groups of members in the office and asked Ning Cheng. You can take everything except those who are dealing with the case with me. Ning Cheng glanced at the two team members in the office, and his eyes fell on the cute and charming woman, Mu Xiaoyu. Then his gaze stopped on the two young and straight-looking male team members, and called out their names, Chen Yang, Lu Qi. According to Ning Cheng, these people are young people in the two groups who have just passed the internship period. If you use it, you will be more obedient than the old man. Zhou Zi nodded in agreement and said, you can do anything, and bring a forensic doctor to the technical squadron. It is good. After choosing the number of people to lead, it didn't take long for Ning Cheng and others to leave for the crime scene in the jurisdiction. But just as the train was about to start, Tang Xin, the female forensic doctor of the technical squadron, arrived late. Ning Cheng did not know the name of the female forensic doctor. However, He saw Tang Xin last time when Zhou Ziyan was dealing with the river case. At that time, forensic expert Chen Chang, Director Chen brought 2 intern forensic doctors, and one of the female forensic doctors was Tang Xin. It's you, big brother Ning Chang. Tang Xin got into the police car and was surprised to see Ning Chang. In the team, Mu Xiaoyu obviously knew the female forensic doctor Tang Xin, and said with a chuckle, "What is your name, Ning Chang, boss?" "Yeah, last time I was in the Zhou team handling the case of Hidao Sun Hirong, and I saw Ning Chang conduct an autopsy in person. His autopsy operation stunned me. Even the teachers in the academy are not as smooth as Ning Chang. They are simply watching art. So powerful, doesn't that mean that Ning Chang is even more powerful than your professional forensic doctor?" Mu Xiaoyu asked curiously. Tang Xin stuck out her tongue. "It's very possible. Then our comrade Ning Chang is really a treasure policeman, we know a lot of skills." Mu Xiaoyu blinked at Ning Chang and joked to the female forensic doctor Tang Xin, "Do you know who we are leading the team this time?" "Who? The big boss Ning Chang in your mouth." Mu Xiaoyu's beautiful eyes fell on Ning Chang, and there was a rippling soft light in her eyes. In the team, the 2 male criminal investigation team police officers looked at each other and couldn't help but lemon in their hearts. Everyone could see that Mu Xiaoyu seemed to have a crush on Ning Chang. Although Mu Xiaoyu's appearance is not as high as Zhou Ziyan's, she is not inferior. She is a very good-looking beauty, charming and cute, and her clever look is liked by many young people in the police station. But Mu Xiaoyu was very fond of Ning Chang. Since Ning Chang joined the criminal investigation team too, Mu Xiaoyu has often come to Ning Chang's side. Coffee, milk tea, bread, takeaway. Anyway, the food on Ning Chang's table has never stopped. Envy the many new and old members of the 2 groups. Really, beauty is justice. If they just said that Ning Chang attracted Mu Xiaoyu with his good looks, they would never be convinced. But Ning Chang's ability to solve crimes and arrest the murderer is still so strong, and the merits he has won can only make people look up and admire. So much so that Ning Chang leads them, and they have no temper either. The police station speaks with strength. Tang Xin looked at Ning Chang in surprise and asked, "Boss Ning Chang, are you leading the team?" "I lead the team." Ning Chang nodded. "The big guy is the big guy. He is really strong. Don't forget to support me in the future." Tang Xin stretched out her hand and said, "Let's get to know you officially. My name is Tang Xin, from the technical squadron." Ning Chang nodded in greeting. Ning Chang, a member of the criminal investigation team too. After getting to know each other, the police car quickly arrived at the location of the caller. This is a garden area. The person who called the police was a beautiful girl, 24 or 25 years old, who was standing in front of her house and waiting anxiously. When she saw the police car coming, she rushed up immediately. "You are Zheng Yunyan, and you called the police." Ning Chang looked at the policeman in front of him and asked warmly, "Your grandma was hacked to death, right?" "Yes, when I got home this afternoon, I opened the door and found that my house had been robbed. My grandmother was hacked to death, bleeding all over the place, so scary. At that time, I was about to collapse, so I was so scared that I came out and called the police to notify you." Zheng Yunyan's body trembled, her face was full of fear, and her eyes were red with tears. "Don't panic, Mu Xiaoyu, calm down." Ning Chang asked Mu Xiaoyu to soothe him and watched Zheng Yunyan secretly. On the body of the policeman, Zheng Yunyan, Ning Chang opened the system's guilt value analysis, and did not see any signs that the guilt value exploded after the murder, which belonged to the normal category. Obviously, Zheng Yunyan is not a murderer. When Zheng Yunyan calmed down, Ning Chang asked Zheng Yunyan to open the door and enter the house. "As soon as I entered the door, there was a mess all over the floor. The room was rummaging through boxes and cabinets, the drawers were pulled open, and it seemed that they had been looted. The blushing blood spilled out on the ground, and there was an old woman with gray hair, about 60 years old, lying there." Female forensic doctor Tang Xin immediately conducted an on-site investigation and preliminary autopsy, while Lu Qi and Chen Yang were collecting evidence and recording the scene. Mu Xiaoyu took Zheng Yunyan to take stock of the property damage in the room. As the leader, Ning Chang walked around the living room and the room alone, and observed it carefully. Kitchens, doors and windows, balconies, and storage cabinets, these corners have not been spared. After searching these places, Ning Chang frowned slightly, suspicion arose in his heart. The living room, the room is clearly a sign of being looted by a burglary. But is it really a burglary and then the robber kills? Ning Cheng just checked the doors and windows, and found that the doors and windows were closed, not opened, and there were no traces of footsteps on them. And the cabinets in the room. Ning Cheng squatted down, stared at the drawer with only the top open, and shook his head inwardly. If it is really a professional robber, usually, it will start from the bottom of the cabinet drawer. Because if you rob the property and open the drawer from the top, it will block the opening of the drawer below, which will waste a lot of time and cause trouble. Now the cabinets in the room are with the top drawer open, and the bottom drawers are not open. It's like an amateur robber, totally unprofessional. Or, this is a fake burglary. The purpose is to cover up the murderer behind the case. At the same time that Ning Cheng was suspicious of this burglary case, the members of the two groups are also almost finished their own work. Tang Xin, you are a forensic doctor, what clues do you have? Ning Cheng asked. I just performed an autopsy. According to the body temperature and corpse spots of the deceased Zheng Ling's body, it can be preliminarily determined that the body should have died between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock this morning. Tang Xin stood up from the edge of the corpse and handed the handwritten autopsy results to Ning Cheng, saying, the deceased Zheng Ling had 7 stab wounds. The stab wound that made the deceased die was the throat cut on the deceased's neck. That knife cut the carotid artery, causing the deceased to lose too much blood and die. Ning Cheng glanced at the autopsy result form, then crouched down. Tang Xin felt that she handed the medical latex gloves to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng put on his gloves and took a close look at the corpse. There is no doubt about Tang Xin's business ability, and basically there is no mistake in the judgment of the corpse. There were many stab wounds on the deceased body, there were 7 in all, and the fatal wound was the throat cut on the neck. At this moment, Mu Xiaoyu took Zheng Yunyan out of the room. Xiao Ning, I have already checked the room. Comparing to Zheng Yunyan's memory, her family lost a lot of property, 2 gold bracelets, a string of gold necklaces, and a pair of jade bracelets, and more than 2,000 in cash. Gold bracelet, necklace, jade. Ning Cheng looked at Zheng Yunyan and asked, these are your grandma's? Yes, it's all my grandma's. She likes to wear gold and jade, and so does cash. Do you have any property damage? No. Zheng Yunyan shook her head and said, I have all my money in the bank and the balance on the internet. How much do you personally estimate the damage to property? Ning Cheng asked. It should be more than 200,000. That's a long sentence. Ning Cheng smiled lightly, looked at the empty walls all around, and asked, why don't you have any photos at home? Are you the only one living with your grandma? Where are your parents? My mother works in the company, I have informed her, and she has come back. Zheng Yunyan continued. My dad has gone to another city, not in Zhongcheng. What's the meaning? My parents got divorced. They had a car accident more than 10 years ago. My dad's arm was injured. During the hospitalization, my mom and my dad divorced. Just because of your dad's arm injury. Ning Cheng squinted his eyes and asked, and your father's arm was injured, shouldn't it be your mother who left this house? No. Zheng Yunyan shook his head and said, my dad used to be a decorator, and he moved into the Zheng family and married my mother. Later, after my dad injured his arm in a car accident, he couldn't move well and couldn't make any money, so my grandmother asked my mother to divorce him. Quote, after my dad got divorced, he left the Zheng family. Enrollment, that's what it is. Ning Cheng nodded and said, then you mean that your dead grandmother was essentially your grandmother? Right, I just took a look. The house has 4 bedrooms. Who else lives there besides your grandmother, mother, and you? My sister Zheng Lingyun. Zheng Yunyan replied. Ning Cheng raised his eyebrows slightly. You still have a younger sister? Yes, she went to play at a classmate's house, and I have informed her to come over. Okay, Mu Xiaoyu, you can make a brief record for Zheng Yunyan, and ask for the identity information of the deceased and the information of their family members. Yes, Mu Xiaoyu nodded and obeyed, and brought Zheng Yunyan to her room to ask for relevant information. Watching them walk into the room, Chen Yang and the team couldn't help but ask. Ning Cheng, what do you think? You don't think this is a robbery? Do you think this is a case of burglary? Ning Cheng said, let's brainstorm and share your thoughts. This should be a case of burglary. Chen Yang expressed his thoughts and said. The property lost in the case is as high as more than 200,000, which is a major robbery. There are traces of rummaging everywhere in the house. I think it should be a robber who broke into the house, saw the deceased old lady Zheng Ling, and then murdered and robbed." Quote. Ning Cheng's face was calm, and he shook his head with a slight smile. The female forensic doctor Tang Xin noticed Ning Cheng's movements and said with a chuckle, "It seems that Ning Cheng has a different opinion. This is just my preliminary speculation. I don't think this is a case of robbery, burglary, and murder. See the cabinet in the living room." Ning Cheng pointed to the locker and said lightly, "There are 5 drawers in this locker, but only the top drawer is open. The bottom drawers are not open. Do you know what that means?" "What do you mean?" Chen Yang frowned. Ning Cheng laughed. "Try to open the cabinet below by yourself." Chen Yang put on his gloves and tried as Ning Cheng said. "Pull open the drawer under the top drawer of the cabinet." After pulling one open, I found that it became more and more difficult to open the back, because the upper drawer blocked the opening of the lower drawer, which was very troublesome and a waste of time. This. Chen Yang widened his eyes and suddenly understood. The robbers pay attention to time efficiency. Usually, they open the drawers from the bottom to the top, which saves time and reduces trouble. Ning Cheng said calmly, "But only the top drawer on the locker is pulled open, and the bottom is not." "What does that mean?" "It means that the robber is very amateur and is likely to be a fake robbery scene. In addition, I just looked at the doors and windows of the room. They are all closed, and there are no traces of sand or footprints on them." Chen Yang and Lu Qi's eyes were full of shock. Have to admire. Ning Cheng's observation skills are really sharp, and can guess the subtleties of the robber's movements. This is the insight and knowledge that only experienced criminal police officers have. Why did the murderer fake the robbery scene, and who is the murderer? The murderer faked the robbery scene with the purpose of pushing the suspect onto a strange robber. Ning Cheng pondered. As for the identity of the murderer, it should be someone who knew the deceased's old lady Zheng Ling, or had a conflict with her. Why would you say so? Chen Yang couldn't help but ask. Because. Ning Cheng looked at the wound on the dead old lady Zheng Ling's body. The deceased old lady had 7 wounds on her body, and the throat cut on her neck was a fatal wound that killed the old lady. But why are there so many injuries? If the deceased lost the ability to resist after death, why would the murderer chop so many knives? Do so. Ning Cheng guessed that it was likely that the murderer had a huge hatred for the deceased old lady Zheng Ling. Under the anger, only when they lose their minds will they vent their anger on the body of the deceased old lady Zheng Ling. In other words, the murderer knew the deceased's old lady Zheng Ling, and an acquaintance committed the crime. Ning Cheng looked at Tang Xin and immediately said, "Because I have doubts about the wounds of the deceased, Tang Xin, Lu Qi, take the corpse back to the police station for investigation, and verify the order of the knife wounds. Through a forensic examination, the degree of stab wounds on the body can be determined. If the deceased was killed by a mortal wound to the neck, then the murderer continued to slash out of anger. Then it verifies Ning Cheng's judgment." Tang Xin and Lu Qi called colleagues from the technical squadron to take away the body of the deceased old lady. Immediately, Mu Xiaoyu's questioning to Zheng Yunyan in the room ended. "Xiao Ning, this is Zheng Yunyan's detailed transcript." Mu Xiaoyu said. "Zheng Yunyan's family situation is very complicated. Her parents are divorced. His father, Li Ming, left the city more than 10 years ago. His mother, Zheng Ran, worked in a public institution and never remarried. He and his mother, Zheng Ling, raised 2 sisters, Zheng Yunyan and Zheng Lingyun grew up." Quote. Ning Cheng looked at Zheng Yunyan's confession and asked her, "How is the relationship between your mother Zheng Ran and your grandmother Zheng Ling? Are there any contradictions?" Ning Cheng has suspected internal killings among relatives. The most suspect may be Zheng Yunyan's father Li Ming. After the car accident that year, Li Ming was hospitalized, and his wife Zheng Ran was instigated by his mother Zheng Ling to divorce. This is the main cause of the conflict, and the status of the son-in-law is naturally irreconcilable. As the daughter of the deceased, Zheng Ran may also have conflicts with her mother, Zheng Ling. Zheng Yunyan shook her head and said, "My mother has no conflict with my grandmother. My mother listens to my grandmother's words very much." So, Ning Cheng glanced at the transcript and asked curiously, "The transcript shows that you are 24 years old, a nurse, and working in a provincial hospital. Right, what about your sister? She is 17 years old and still in her second year of high school. Aha, how is her relationship with your grandmother? A normal relationship. Me, my sister and my grandmother have a normal relationship. Jung Union said. She is old, and there is a generation gap between us. I usually don't care about her. It's my mother who communicates with my grandmother. Right now, a middle-aged beautiful woman broke into the room, her charm still remained, and her face looked sad. Where is my mother? Jung Ran, a beautiful middle-aged woman, asked in a trembling voice. Jung Union explained from the side, this is my mother. Ning Cheng glanced at his watch. At 4 p.m., it was far from the time to get off work. Look at Jung Ran's messy hair again. It should be the first time after hearing the news. Over the top of her head, Ning Cheng used system sin analysis and saw only the number 50. The guilt value of normal people is in the range of 0 to 30. After breaking through 100, there are major guilt plots, such as murder. The middle-aged beautiful woman Jung Ran has 50 crime points. It seems that she has committed minor crimes, but she did not kill her mother Jung Ling. Ms. Jung Ran, I'm sorry, your mother Jung Ling has been killed by the murderer. The body has been sent to the technical squadron for further autopsy investigation. If you want to see it, you can visit it later. Good. The middle-aged beautiful woman Jung Ran nodded again and again. Sitting on the sofa, Muna covered her face and wept. As a woman in the team, Mu Xiaoyu took the initiative to step forward to soothe her emotions. Jung Union stayed in the living room and looked out the door. What are you looking at? Ning Cheng asked with a smile. Wait for your sister, when will she arrive? It should be soon, she has just notified me on VX, and she will be there soon. Ning Cheng nodded, his heart moved slightly. He looked at the middle-aged beautiful woman Jung Ran, and then at the woman Jung Union. The relationship between their mother and daughter does not seem to be very good. If there is a cordial mother-daughter relationship, Jung Union should go up to appease his mother Jung Ran at this time, not Mu Xiaoyu. Sister. Outside the door, a young girl in a hurry ran to the door, her face flushed red and she looked out of breath. Did Grandma really get killed? Jung Union hurriedly responded, don't worry, the police are here now, they will handle it, it's all right. Well, I know, Sister Jung Lingyun said shudderingly. Ning Cheng stared at the two sisters, his eyes suddenly narrowed. The murderer should be his sister Jung Lingyun. No doubt, above her head, Ning Cheng saw 200 sins. She is the murderer of Grandma Jung Ling. But why did Sister Jung Lingyun kill Grandma Jung Ling? For what reason? Chen Yang, call a few colleagues over and take them to the police station to make detailed records. Yes, Chen Yang nodded in agreement. After notifying his colleagues by phone, he brought his sister Jung Union, and mother Jung Ran back to the police station to make a transcript. The inquest in the room has now been completed, and no special evidence has been found. Then the team was divided into two groups. Ning Cheng and Mu Xiaoyu went to investigate and visit the surrounding neighbors. Chen Yang and Lu Qi, who came back, visited the old man and the old lady in the community park. This is the network of the deceased Jung Ling, and it should be possible to find a lot of useful information. Xiao Ning, do you suspect that the murderer was an internal relative? Mu Xiaoyu asked next to Ning Cheng. I have just said that this is a very amateur burglary scene. Experienced robbers will not have so many loopholes. Furthermore, there are 7 wounds on the body of the deceased old lady Jung Ling. The fatal injury is the neck injury, and there are 6 other wounds. If the dead old lady Jung Ling is killed, there is no need for the robber to start again, so it is likely that an acquaintance committed the crime, and it is someone who has a huge conflict with the dead old lady. Now, when the autopsy wound report comes out and analyzes the severity of the wounds, I can verify my judgment. Xiao Ning, you can deduce so many clues in a short period of time, you are amazing. Mu Xiaoyu smiled sweetly. I admire you more and more, who do you think is the murderer? You'll find out later. Ning Cheng smiled slightly and came to Jung Union's lead house with Mu Xiaoyu, knocked on the door and showed his credentials. Hello, I want to ask you about Jung Union and Jung Ling, the owners of the opposite household. Garden District. Ning Cheng and Mu Xiaoyu came to the lead house of the deceased Jung Ling. The head of the household is a middle-aged husband and wife, and there is a son who does homework at home. Seeing Ning Cheng revealing his identity, they were very surprised, and they were even more surprised when they heard the news of the death of Zheng Ling, the neighbor across from him. The opposite old lady Zheng Ling actually died. The male host couldn't hide his astonished expression. Anyone across from the neighbor who died tragically and was killed would be surprised and panicked. Officer, how did Mrs. Zheng Ling die? The preliminary judgment may be that an acquaintance committed the crime and killed the old lady Zheng Ling. Ning Cheng said to the neighbor couple, "You don't have to worry, we are just conducting routine inquiries." Good. We'll tell you what we know. The host nodded and said honestly, "Mr. Police Officer, if you have any questions, just ask." Okay, according to your understanding, as neighbors, what kind of person do you think the deceased old lady Zheng Ling was? Although she doesn't have much contact, she is very polite, decent, and pays more attention to rules. She is a bit old-fashioned and traditional. While the host was talking, Mu Xiaoyu turned on the voice recorder to record. The neighbor hostess Xiaoli said, "The old lady has a very tough temper. Once I left a cardboard box outside the door, occupying a little space in their house, and she threw it directly into the trash can. Although it took up a little space in their house at that time, that kind of behavior made people very uncomfortable. She is an old man, so I can't say anything. Besides, what else is there to add?" Ning Cheng asked. The neighbor Xiaoli said, "The old lady Zheng Ling looks very rich. She usually wears gold and jade, so she is very rich." "Oh, is that so?" Ning Cheng flashed a look of surprise. Where did the gold and jade on the old lady's body come from? Is it her own? The Zheng family has always been quite rich. When the old lady Zheng Ling's wife died, she inherited all the inheritance of the Zheng family. But later, the old lady felt that she was alone and lonely, so she went to live with her daughter and son-in-law. Later, I heard that her son-in-law had a car accident and was hospitalized, and they divorced. I don't know what happened. Neighboring hostess Lu Meili has a desire to gossip and talk more than ever. Ning Cheng said, "As far as we know, when Zheng Ling's son-in-law Li Ming was hospitalized in a car accident, it was the old lady Zheng Ling who asked her daughter to divorce." "Oh, I remember it, yes, it was forced by the old lady Zheng Ling." The hostess Zheng Ling's gossip thoughts ignited, and she said excitedly, "I don't know if it's true, I heard others say it. When it was the old lady Zheng Ling who disliked her son-in-law as a decorator, and after a car accident, she couldn't make enough money, so she forced her daughter and son-in-law to divorce. She moved in, and the property rights of the house were still owned by the old lady." Quote. Mu Xiaoyu's hand holding the recording pen trembled, and her face appeared startled. What surprised her was that the deceased's old lady Zheng Ling had a bad reputation. Did Zheng Ran not resist when she divorced her husband back then? Mu Xiaoyu couldn't help asking. Neighbor Lu Meili shook her head. "It's been almost 10 years, and I don't know the inside story. But I think Zheng Ran is a woman with a very soft personality. She usually never quarrels with people. She also listens to the words of her mother, Zheng Ling, and has never violated anything." Quote. If Zheng Ling had let her daughter Zheng Ran divorce her husband, she might have done the same. This woman, you still need to be tougher. She has good conditions like her, looks good, and has a good figure. She still works in an institution, so you should be tougher. Ning Cheng's heart froze, and he already knew the inside story of that year. Zheng Ran's character is really cowardly. At that time, she obeyed her mother Zheng Ling's words and divorced her husband Li Ming. According to this character, even if there is a conflict between her daughter Zheng Lingyun and her mother Zheng Ling, they may ignore it. What is the relationship between the deceased old lady Zheng Ling and their sister Zheng Yunyan? Ning Cheng directly interrupted the chatter of the female neighbor Lu Meimei. Treat Zheng Yunyan and Zheng Lingyun sisters. The female neighbor Lu Meili paused for half a second, and then said after thinking, take a different treatment. What's the meaning? The old lady Zheng Ling values her sister Zheng Yunyan very much, but she doesn't pay much attention to her sister Zheng Lingyun. The female neighbor aunt resumed her chattering state and said, usually delicious food, and beautiful clothes, the old lady Zheng Ling will give her sister Zheng Yunyan. My sister Zheng Lingyun lived a very miserable life. She didn't have much to eat or drink. In addition to going to school, she was also responsible for cooking, taking out the garbage, and doing laundry. eccentricity is so serious? Ning Cheng frowned and asked, why does the old lady Zhang Ling treat the two sisters so seriously? The female neighbor Lu Meili shook her head and said, I don't know about this. I don't want to ask more questions about other people's family affairs. I think I can answer this. The male host frowned slightly and said, from the attitude of the old lady, I feel that she does not treat her sister Zhang Lingyun as a family member, but treats her like a servant. 5 or 6 days ago, when I just went out, I saw the old lady insulting Zhang Lingyun at the door, saying she was a fool. After the investigation has reached this point, Ning Cheng can already determine the motive of his sister Zhang Lingyun's murder. It is likely that the younger sister Zhang Lingyun has been subjected to verbal insults, bullying, and even physical abuse from her grandmother Zhang Ling for a long time, which caused her sister Zhang Lingyun to break out and kill Zhang Ling in anger. Domestic abuse is the original sin that leads to murder cases. Mother Zhang Ran's weak and cowardly character not only did not stop her, but acted as a lubricant for family affection. Instead, he helped Zhou to abuse, and watched his youngest daughter Zhang Lingyun suffer from long-term bullying and abuse, which made Zhang Lingyun cold and bitter, and reached the point of outbreak. Guessing the truth vaguely, Ning Cheng was a little breathless. I just saw Zhang Lingyun just once. But judging from her youthful breath, she is still a flower girl. But it has come this far. Sister Zhang Yunyan and younger sister Zhang Lingyun, how is their relationship? Ning Cheng had to wonder what environment Zhang Lingyun was in. Grandma Zhang Ling's bullying and abuse, Mother Zhang Ran's indifference and neglect, Sister Zhang Yunyan is in it, what role does she play? The hostess and hostess both laughed when they heard the question. Sister Zhang Yunyan and Sister Zhang Lingyun have a good relationship. I often see my sister Zhang Yunyan buying delicious food for my sister Zhang Lingyun in private and taking her to play. The two sisters' emotions are so enviable. Ning Cheng breathed a sigh of relief. In the family, Grandma Zhang Ling abused Zhang Lingyun, and her biological mother ignored Zhang Lingyun, if even her own sister Zhang Yunyan ignored her. So the life of Sister Zhang Lingyun can be seen how hopeless and helpless. Fortunately, Sister Zhang Yunyan brought a little warmth to Zhang Lingyun. Thank you for your support of our police work. After the investigation and visit to the neighbor Lu Meili's family, Ning Cheng and Mu Xiaoyu then visited several families, and the confessions obtained were almost the same as those of Lu Meili's family. Xiao Ning, do you suspect that the murderer is younger sister Zhang Lingyun? After the investigation and visit, even Mu Xiaoyu could vaguely determine who the murderer was. Yes, my sister Zhang Lingyun is very suspicious. I suspect that she has been abused by her grandmother Zhang Ling since her father Li Ming left the house. Mu Xiaoyu's heart trembled. As a woman, she understands how helpless and pitiful it is for a girl to be abused from a young age. And this kind of harm comes from the closest relatives. No one can stop it. Even if it is a neighbor, the teacher sees that Zhang Ling can evade it with a sentence such as, "This is a family matter, you don't need to worry about it." What should I do now? Zhang Lingyun is suspected, but we are only speculating now, and we haven't found any evidence in the room. Ning Cheng sighed lightly and said, first meet with Chen Yang and the others, and then look for evidence. Single quote. It just happens that it's getting late, so we can chat while eating. Ning Cheng called and asked Chen Yang's investigators to meet at a nearby stir-fry restaurant and review the clues together. This is the situation on my side, how is the situation on your side? In the small restaurant by the road, the owner's craftsmanship is good. Ning Cheng is eating his food in big mouthfuls. He is really hungry. Visiting the old man and the old lady in the park and asking about the deceased Zhang Ling's situation went well, but there are no valuable clues. When a murder happened, Chen Yang was not in the mood to eat, and said the investigation results. According to the old man and the old lady, the deceased Zhang Ling was a very particular person. She never dances square dance very much, usually only plays mahjong and listens to drama. Quote. Later we asked the old lady who played mahjong with her, and learned that Zhang Ling has a strong temper, and people around don't dare to offend her. I asked them how Zhang Ling treated her daughters Zhang Ran and Zhang Yunyan. Ning Cheng took a mouthful of rice and raised his head to ask. I asked, Zhang Ran and Zhang Yunyan listened to Zhang Ling's words very much, and Zhang Ling made the decisions at home. The clues are still valuable, at least let us understand the face of the deceased Zhang Ling more clearly. Ning Cheng chuckled. Let's eat. Single quote. Ning Cheng, can you eat? Chen Yang said helplessly. The body was only carried out a few hours ago, but I can't eat it. We can't find any evidence in the room now. What should we do next about this case? Since you have solved major cases in a row, you should be more capable than us. Can you guide us? Mu Xiaoyu heard Chen Yang's dissatisfaction, slapped her chopsticks on the table, and widened her eyes. What do you mean? Means nothing. Chen Yang pushed his glasses and said politely, I just think this case is a case of burglary and murder. Now we speculate in the direction of relatives, murder, which is probably wrong. Then how do you explain the scene of the room robbery? Only the upper drawer is open. Mu Xiaoyu questioned. Chen Yang replied. The upper drawer is open. It is very likely that this is an amateur robbery case, and the murderer is not a professional robber at all. What about the stab wounds on the body of the deceased Zheng Ling? There are 7 wounds, how do you explain it? Mu Xiaoyu was about to stand up, staring at Chen Yang and Lu Qi coldly. There were 7 stab wounds on the deceased's body. Maybe the murderer felt that he couldn't kill the deceased with 1 slash, so he made up a lot of knives. Chen Yang found that the more Mu Xiaoyu spoke for Ning Cheng, the more he felt. My statement is not aimless. In many murder cases, the murderer may be under high tension, lose his mind, and chop a lot of knives to the deceased. As an amateur robber, suddenly seeing the deceased old lady Zheng Ling in the room, it is probably in this state. Furthermore, the deceased Zheng Ling's family is very special. The family is all female and has no male protection. The deceased's old lady Zheng Ling usually wears gold and jade, and she is very rich and noble, and it is easy to be targeted. Chen Yang said more and more vigorously, stood up and stared at Ning Cheng. Mu Xiaoyu's pretty face was flushed, and her beautiful face was full of anger. Now Ning Cheng is leading the team, what do you want to do? He led the team, but it doesn't mean that I don't have the right to put forward opinions on the case. Chen Yang was not very comfortable with Ning Cheng leading the team, but he didn't want to say harsh words to Mu Xiaoyu. Don't stand on his side all the time, you have to think about the case yourself. I'm on Ning Cheng's side, I think he's right, what? Mu Xiaoyu raised her head and raised her chest, looking very proud. Chen Yang, he almost vomited 3 liters of blood in his heart. Are you finished? Ning Cheng ate his dinner quietly, wiped his mouth after eating, and let out a breath. Chen Yang said sternly, it's over, the above is my opinion and speculation. Your speculation is also very reasonable. Ning Cheng nodded and said calmly, you two go back first, or investigate the case according to your ideas. Of course, Ning Cheng knew that the two of them were uncomfortable with his management, so he simply let him go. Just let them go. Seeing Chen Yang and Lu Qi leave, Mu Xiaoyu's teeth were itchy. If not, Ning Cheng laughed. Since the reasoning is inconsistent, let them check according to their own ideas. It is their ability to find out the truth. That's fine. In the future, when we solve cases and record merits, there will be 2 less people. Mu Xiaoyu said angrily. How to check now? We have no evidence. There is no evidence to find evidence. Ning Cheng's eyes narrowed, and he said in a low voice, the depth of the knife wounds of the deceased old lady Zheng Ling are very deep, and the width is also about 15 cm to 0 cm. It should be a tool similar to a kitchen knife. But the knives in the kitchen don't seem to be reduced. That knife should be bought. You can check the shops and supermarkets around the community to see if there is any record of Zheng Lingyun buying kitchen knives. The knife may be discarded after it is used up. You can go to the trash cans in the nearby community to find out if there is any. It is very difficult to destroy the physical evidence. Apart from the murder weapon, I speculate that Zheng Lingyun must have premeditated murder. In other words, she may have used ether, sleeping pills and other coma items for the deceased Zheng Ling, otherwise it would be difficult for her to kill herself. Quote, it's been such a long time. If Tang Xin's technical level is good, she should call me now and report the physical evidence to me. As soon as the voice fell, Ning Cheng's phone suddenly vibrated. Ning Cheng glanced at Tang Xin's phone and answered immediately. Ning Cheng, according to the autopsy examination, it can be determined that among the 7 wounds on the deceased's body, the fatal wound on the neck was cut off first, and the other stab wounds were cut from the back. In the case of a murder weapon, based on the depth and width of the wound, it is preliminarily inferred that it is a kitchen knife-like tool. In addition, I extracted the oral saliva of the deceased Zheng Ling and found the ingredients of sleeping pills. On the phone, Tang Xin's voice spoke clearly, word by word. Mu Xiaoyu's eyes widened, feeling unbelievable horror and terror, even her body trembled uncontrollably. Ning Cheng, are you an immortal? Immortal? I'm not an immortal, I'm just a reasonable guess based on reality. Ning Cheng smiled lightly and shook his head. It doesn't matter, you're better than me anyway, I've got hold of your thigh. In the restaurant, Mu Xiaoyu blinked at Ning Cheng's big, agile eyes, and there were ripples in his eyes. The boys around him looked at him involuntarily. Everyone has to admit it. Mu Xiaoyu is a big beauty, she belongs to the cute type, she speaks in a bit of a bitch style, she is very direct, she likes to express her demands without concealment. Then let's go and find the evidence. Ning Cheng doesn't exclude people like Mu Xiaoyu, he understands his position, what he should do and what he should not do. And the ability to take light rain is also very good. On the contrary, it is like Chen Yang, who publicly revealed his dissatisfaction with him, but he has no count in his heart. If Chen Yang told Ning Cheng his speculation in private, Ning Cheng would not blame the other party and would encourage him to investigate the case. Now, the case is solved and the credit is definitely not that of Chen Yang. Looking for physical evidence, how to find it? Zhongcheng is so big, isn't that looking for a needle in a haystack? Looking for a needle in a haystack, no, it's actually very easy. Ning Cheng smiled. Mu Xiaoyu's beautiful eyes lit up, and she didn't doubt the credibility of Ning Cheng's words. How easy? Do you still know when the deceased Zhang Ling died? Mu Xiaoyu replied, I know, according to Tang Xin's judgment, the time of death of the deceased Zhang Ling should be between 9 to 10 a.m. You have made simple notes for Sister Zhang Yunyan and Sister Zhang Lingyun successively. Ning Cheng smiled and said, Sister Zhang Yunyan said that my sister went to her classmate's house in the morning, and then you asked Zhang Lingyun, do you know when she arrived at her classmate's house? Zhang Lingyun said that she arrived at her classmate's house around 11:30. Where is her classmate's home? Ning Cheng continued to ask with a smile. Mu Xiaoyu immediately replied, looking to the north of Zhongcheng to Shuiyanju. What kind of transportation do you think Zhang Yunyan will use to reach that classmate's house? Subway, bus, neither right, there is no subway around the garden community. Ning Cheng shook his head and said, by bus, Zhongcheng Beiwang's Haoyunju is 10 kilometers away from here. There is a dedicated bus line, but by bus, you can get there in at most 40 minutes. Assuming that the deceased Zhang Ling was killed by Zhang Lingyun at 10 a.m. at the latest, and then Zhang Lingyun arrived at the classmate's house at 11:30 a.m., this time was consumed in an hour and a half. The time is completely wrong, and there is surveillance when taking the bus. If Zhang Lingyun was carrying a murder weapon and a kitchen knife, it would be inconvenient. Then will she walk? Ning Cheng said. Walking too slowly, it's easy to waste time. What would that be? Just unravel the mystery, I'm dying of curiosity. Mu Xiaoyu took Ning Cheng's hand and made a coquettish tone. Ning Cheng smiled, took out his mobile phone and showed it to Mu Xiaoyu, electric bike sharing. Ning Cheng has already entered Garden District at the starting point and Zhongcheng Beiwang's Haoyunju at the end point. Moment. A smart recommended route immediately appeared on the mobile app. Mu Xiaoyu's eyes widened, and an egg could be stuffed into her mouth. At this moment, she finally understood what Ning Cheng meant. This is Zhang Lingyun's morning route. On this road, when she sees a suitable place, she will throw away the weapon on her body. Quote. Ning Cheng smiled and nodded. Walking efficiency is not high. Sharing bicycles is convenient. You can check the road conditions at any time, and once you find a suitable place, you can discard the murder weapon. In other words, if you follow this route, all the trash cans and public toilets along the way may contain Zhang Lingyun's murder weapon for killing Zhang Ling. Ning Cheng asked, now you think you are still looking for a needle in a haystack. Where is the needle in the haystack? It's clearly radar detection. Mu Xiaoyu stared at Ning Cheng's handsome face and said with a smile. Ning Cheng, you are a god, you really don't know how to turn your mind. But with the two of us, can we search the trash cans and public toilets that are nearly 10 kilometers away? And the things in the public toilets have to be pumped out, the workload is not something we can do. I checked this route, and there are only 3 public toilets. If you check it, it is easy to find it through the municipal government. But when Zhang Lingyun got home, her clothes were clean and had no odor. The possibility of throwing the murder weapon into the public toilet was very small. We don't need to go to the public toilet. That's going to the trash can along the way. Mu Xiaoyu sighed. But there are so many trash cans on this route, and the amount of tasks is also not small. Why, are you afraid? Ning Cheng smiled and said, or, you don't want to look for evidence in a dirty trash can. Where is it? It's not. Mu Xiaoyu snorted softly. If I was afraid of getting dirty and tired, I wouldn't choose to join the criminal investigation team. I'll do it now, I can't let you look down on me. Saying that, Mu Xiaoyu pulled Ning Cheng to the trash can in the garden community. Start your first garbage dump trip. Ning Cheng looked at Mu Xiaoyu. There was a slight frown on her fair and delicate face, but her hands and feet were extraordinarily serious. No less serious than Ning Cheng. Soon the trash can that Ning Cheng was in charge of was turned over, and there was no murder weapon in it. Let's go, Xiaoyu, there should be little hope for the trash can on this side of the community. Wait, I seem to have found evidence. Mu Xiaoyu picked up a plastic bag from the garbage in one place, walked to Ning Cheng, and said excitedly. There is a bottle of sleeping pills here. I remember Ning Cheng, you said that the deceased Zhang Ling may have been taken sleeping pills, and there is a bottle here. Ning Cheng's eyes narrowed and he said, sleeping pills are prescription drugs, and they belong to the second category of essence drugs. They are prescription drugs that can only be prescribed by doctors who are qualified to prescribe psychotropic drugs. Let's see if there is a prescription list in the trash can. If there is a prescription list opened, it is easy to determine who bought the medicine and then determine the murderer. This is physical evidence. Hearing this, Mu Xiaoyu immediately and decisively flipped the trash can again. Even if it is not summer now, there is still a slight rancid smell coming from the trash can. Mu Xiaoyu did not frown at all and searched carefully. I found it, there is a list here, but the name column has been torn. Ning Cheng took the prescription and glanced at it. Indeed, as Mu Xiaoyu said, the name of the patient number on the prescription was torn, leaving only the hospital, doctor and the time of the order. The prescription list for sleeping pills was opened yesterday, and the hospital is the provincial hospital. Mu Xiaoyu, take this prescription for sleeping pills tomorrow, go to the provincial hospital and ask the relevant personnel to see if the person on this prescription is Zheng Lingyun, or is it an order issued by ordinary people. Okay, I'll take a look tomorrow. Mu Xiaoyu nodded and agreed. Seeing that Ning Cheng's brows did not stretch, he smiled. What's the matter? We may get the evidence and frown. What are we thinking about? It's nothing, go ahead. Ning Cheng and Mu Xiaoyu continued to dig through the trash cans along the way. But in his heart, feeling vaguely wrong, if the prescription list and sleeping pills just now are one of the physical evidences that killed the deceased Zheng Ling. They got it so easily. The process of finding evidence is not easy. Open the trash can always turn over the mess, and sometimes endure the rancid smell. However, neither Ning Cheng nor Mu Xiaoyu disliked it. As a criminal police, these are just the easiest jobs. Far from being life-threatening. However, the efficiency of looking for evidence for two people is not high. It took 3 or 4 hours to turn around and only half the way. That's it for today, go back and rest. Ning Cheng looked at Mu Xiaoyu, who was oozing fine sweat on his forehead and messy hair, and wanted to laugh. At this time, Mu Xiaoyu is even cuter than usual when delivering milk tea and takeaway. Very serious, Mu Xiaoyu wiped her sweat and handed Ning Cheng a tissue. There's still half of it, so come back tomorrow. Tomorrow you don't have to look for it anymore, go to the provincial hospital to find that prescription. I'm not looking for it, so are you looking for the rest, Mu Xiaoyu said earnestly, there are still a lot of tasks below, I feel bad if you are alone. Don't think about me. Ning Cheng warmed his heart, smiled and said. Every morning in the evening, the municipality will transport the garbage accumulated in the trash cans on the roadside to the garbage transfer station. We've already walked halfway. Tomorrow I can only go to the garbage transfer station, I don't have to turn over the trash cans one by one. I checked, and there is only one garbage transfer station on the remaining road, so I don't have to work a lot. Okay, see you tomorrow then. Mu Xiaoyu was really tired, and she was relieved to hear Ning Cheng say this. Afterwards, the two of them went home, and in the early morning of the next day, Mu Xiaoyu rushed to the police station first. Why didn't you see Ning Cheng? Mu Xiaoyu looked around the police station, but did not see Ning Chang. Ning Chang doesn't miss work at all on weekdays. I didn't see Ning Chang in my seat today. What, brought Ning Chang breakfast again? Sister Lu in the police station laughed and explained to Mu Xiaoyu. Ning Chang called the bureau, he has something to deal with, he will be there in the afternoon. Mu Xiaoyu immediately understood that Ning Chang wanted to find the physical evidence weapon. At this time, Chen Yang of Criminal Investigation Team 2 became more and more appetizing when he saw the breakfast in Mu Xiaoyu's hand. No one came, why don't you give me breakfast? Go away, traitors are not qualified to eat the breakfast I brought. Mu Xiaoyu was angry when she saw Chen Yang. If Chen Yang and Lu Qi joined yesterday, they would search for evidence together. The murder weapon might be found now. Who is the traitor? Chen Yang was unconvinced and said, Ning Chang's and I's ideas for solving the case are clearly different. He chooses his speculation, and I choose my speculation. What's the difference? Single quote. Seeing that you are still struggling with the case, do you know that Lu Qi and I have already found a lot of clues? Would you like to hear our clues? Listen to your clues. Mu Xiaoyu didn't hide her poisonous tongue at all, her eyes widened and said. Even the direction of the investigation is wrong, no matter how many clues you find, it will be in vain. Chen Yang was so angry, he stood up and glared at Mu Xiaoyu. If Ning Chang can solve the case, I, Chen Yang, can still solve the case. Ning Chang has solved several cases, and has been in the criminal investigation team for several years. Does he have my experience? If solving a case is based on seniority and who has joined the criminal investigation team longer than anyone else, then there are a lot of outstanding police officers in the world who can solve cases. Even the criminal investigation team that Zhou has done for more than 10 years admires Ning Chang, and gave him permission. You joined the criminal investigation for a year or two, why didn't you see Team Zhou giving you permission? Mu Xiaoyu replied word by word, in terms of solving cases, you are far inferior to Ning Chang. The members of Criminal Investigation Team 2, along with other members of the Criminal Investigation Team, heard Mu Xiaoyu and Chen Yang arguing, and they all laughed. It is common to see cases in opposite directions. Chen Yang is young and energetic, and it is normal for Ning Chang to be unconvinced. In the final analysis, it still depends on the results of solving the case. The Criminal Investigation Team is a place that speaks with strength. The stronger the ability, the more convincing the public can be. Now it's up to Ning Chang and Chen Yang, who can solve the case faster. The other side, Ning Chang set off early in the morning and took a taxi to the garbage transfer station. The garbage at the transfer station has not been processed yet. After revealing his identity, Ning Chang put on gloves and started searching. But unfortunately, after searching for more than an hour, Ning Chang still couldn't find the kitchen knife. How could this be the result? Is there a mistake in my reasoning? Ning Chang frowned slightly and reviewed his thoughts and clues again. After Zheng Lingyun killed her grandmother Zheng Ling, didn't she take this route? Or was the kitchen knife thrown into a public toilet? If it is true, as guessed, to find evidence, these two tasks are not small. Ning Chang has to call in a few helpers. While thinking about it, Ning Chang was about to pick up the phone. But at this moment, the waste toll station opposite the garbage transfer station caught Ning Chang's eyes. Will kitchen knives and iron products be taken away? Thinking of this, Ning Chang immediately rushed to the waste toll booth opposite. After asking the boss about the situation, the boss immediately nodded and said, Officer, I did receive a kitchen knife at the garbage station. Is that knife some kind of murder weapon? It still has blood on it, I didn't use it to do bad things. I know this, you can just sell me a knife. Ning Chang bought the knife with money, but the boss didn't dare to accept it, so he immediately took out the knife. This kitchen knife is nearly 20 cm, the style is the usual kitchen knife, and there is still a trace of blood in the gap on the handle. Ning Chang can already be sure that this kitchen knife is Zheng Lingyun's murder weapon to kill Grandma Zheng Ling. After getting the murder weapon kitchen knife, Ning Chang did a fingerprint entry for the owner of the junkyard. If there is no accident, the person who left fingerprints on this knife should be Zheng Lingyun and the boss of the waste station who have been in contact with kitchen knives. Next, Ning Chang rushed to the technical squadron of the police station. Let Tang Xin identify fingerprints. For an afternoon, Ning Chang was waiting. Boss Ning Cheng, the results are out. Tang Xin found the laboratory and said with a smile, this kitchen knife is indeed the one that killed the deceased old lady Zhang Ling. The blood remaining in the hilt perfectly matches, but the fingerprints on it are surprising. It's surprising, what do you mean? Ning Cheng's eyebrows condensed. Is there no fingerprint of my sister Zhang Lingyun on it, only the owner of the junk station? There are two completely different fingerprints on the murder weapon kitchen knife. It has been verified that one belongs to the owner of the junk station. Tang Xin smiled. As for the other person, it's very interesting, guess what? Looking at Tang Xin's surprised expression, Ning Cheng suddenly froze in his heart. Think of how easy it was to find a prescription for sleeping pills last night. He already had a guess in his mind. It's my sister Zhang Yunyan's fingerprint. Tang Xin snapped her fingers. Boss Ning Cheng is a boss, yes, in addition to the junkyard boss, the murder weapon only has the fingerprints of my sister Zhang Yunyan, not my sister Zhang Lingyun. Ning Cheng took a deep breath and had already guessed the intention of his sister Zhang Yunyan. He wants to blame his sister Zhang Lingyun. Sacrifice yourself and blame your sister. Boss Ning Cheng, do you still think the murderer is younger sister Zhang Lingyun? Tang Xin smiled and said, the test results have given us the answer. Sometimes the test results can be deceiving. My sister Zhang Yunyan is making arrangements. She wants to use herself to punish her sister. Ning Cheng said solemnly. I guessed right, Mu Xiaoyu's visit to the provincial hospital will also have results. The name that was torn in the corner above should be Sister Zhang Yunyan. It's the prescription written by Zhang Yunyan. It's like a murder weapon, a kitchen knife, to put the suspicion on her. Tang Xin frowned, surprised by this statement. But at this moment, Ning Cheng's cell phone rang. After Ning Cheng connected, he hung up after listening to the other party's words. Is it Mu Xiaoyu's call? Tang Xin asked. Ning Cheng shook his head and said, it was the police station's call. They said that my sister Zhang Yunyan had voluntarily surrendered herself and admitted to killing her grandmother Zhang Ling. Hiss. Tang Xin suddenly took a few steps back, unbelievable. Based on the evidence just tested, she did not believe Ning Cheng's statement. But when Zhang Yunyan voluntarily surrendered and confessed to the murder? On the contrary, Tang Xin believed that Zhang Yunyan was planning and wanted to take the blame for her sister. Zhang Yunyan, what a terrible woman. By this time, Tang Xin had to trust Ning Cheng's judgment. This is really too coincidental. Ning Cheng just got the clues, the prescription of sleeping pills, and the murder weapon kitchen knife, and Zhang Yunyan surrendered to the crime and confessed to the murder. It is really suspicious. Mr. Ning Cheng, why are you so sure that you are Zhang Yunyan? Tang Xin couldn't help feeling lucky. If Zhang Yunyan kills, what is her motive for killing? Ning Cheng shook his head and said, according to the information from the investigation and interview, Zhang Yunyan has always been taken care of by her grandmother Zhang Ling as her sister, and she has never been abused. She sympathizes with her sister, but why did she kill Grandma Zhang Ling? Tang Xin asked, then why did Zhang Yunyan do this? Protect her sister. Ning Cheng narrowed his eyes and said seriously. I have been investigating my sister Zhang Lingyun, but I have ignored my sister Zhang Yunyan's investigation. If my guess is not wrong, after my sister Zhang Lingyun killed my grandmother Zhang Ling, she should have notified her sister Zhang Yunyan immediately. Then my sister Zhang Yunyan rushed from the hospital to the house where the crime happened to solve the aftermath for my sister and create a scene of robbery and murder. If Zhang Yunyan can really do this, he's really smart. Tang Xin couldn't help sighing, it's a pity. What should we do now? There is no sister Zhang Lingyun's fingerprint on the murder weapon, only sister Zhang Yunyan's fingerprint, and now my sister Zhang Yunyan has surrendered and pleaded guilty to murder, how can we overturn it? Just at this time, Ning Cheng's phone rang again, this time from Mu Xiaoyu. Ning Cheng, I have already arrived at the provincial hospital and checked the prescription. Mu Xiaoyu's voice came from the phone, and even Tang Xin could hear it clearly. The prescription was not issued by my sister Zhang Lingyun, but by my sister Zhang Yunyan. This result is different from what we judged yesterday. I have already found the prescription form from the doctor who prescribes the medicine in the provincial hospital, and the photo is on the VX. Tang Xin couldn't help but flash a smile, and said to Ning Cheng who was holding the phone. It seems that you hit Zhang Yunyan's mind. She did deliberately open a prescription list, and put the prescription list in the trash can of the conspicuous community so that you can easily find it. The fingerprints on the murder weapon, plus the prescription for sleeping pills, make her suspect. I really have to admire Jung Yunyan's wisdom. This layout is almost difficult to solve. She has to take the blame for her sister. What should I do now? Tang Xin stared at Ning Cheng with wide eyes, as if she wanted to see a headache on his handsome face. But it didn't. Calm down. I already know what you said, that doesn't matter. Ning Cheng said to Mu Xiaoyu on the phone. I asked the doctor who prescribed sleeping pills, when was the prescription issued? I asked. The doctor said that the order was issued on the 15th, the day before yesterday. Ask again. He's lying. It is good. Mu Xiaoyu hung up the phone briefly, followed Ning Cheng's order and went to ask the doctor. Why do you say the doctor who made the order is lying? Wasn't the prescription written on the 15th, the day before yesterday? Impossible. Ning Cheng shook his head and said, I said that my sister Jung Yunyan is not a murderer, but my sister Jung Lingyun. Jung Yunyan wants to put the suspicion on herself, and takes the blame on herself, so she has to make her murder appear reasonable, so the opening date of the prescription will be on the 15th of the day before yesterday, so that she seems to be a premeditated murder. But after my sister murdered yesterday, she should have been so flustered that Jung Yunyan was surprised. So if you want to fake your suspicions, you can only open a list. That prescription list was opened on the day of 16th yesterday. Quote, and my sister Jung Yunyan is a nurse in a provincial hospital by profession. A prescription drug like sleeping pills can easily make the police think of her. This is exactly what Jung Yunyan wants to achieve. That elder sister Jung Yunyan is really smart. Tang Xin sighed, feeling pity for her sister Jung Yunyan. The elder sister Jung Yunyan, of course, is extremely wise and able to set up such a situation in such a short period of time. But in the end, he met the higher existence of Ning Cheng, and the plan was doomed to fail. Not long after, Mu Xiaoyu called again. I asked again and warned the doctor, but the doctor still said that it was opened on the 15th, the day before yesterday. Okay, I'll go there myself. Mu Xiaoyu couldn't find out the result, so Ning Cheng had to go to the hospital in person. By the way, let's know what kind of person Jung Yunyan is. After driving for more than half an hour, Ning Cheng came to the hospital and saw Mu Xiaoyu at the door. Then Mu Xiaoyu took Ning Cheng to see the doctor who prescribed the medicine. The doctor's surname is Qin, and he is in his early 40s. He is already bald, and his slightly sparse hair is set with a bit of wax. Officer, what else can I do? I said that Jung Yunyan gave me the order on the 15th, the day before yesterday. Dr. Chin's mouth was full of complaints, and he said angrily, I'm on duty now. I'm very busy every day. This is a matter of life and death. Can you bear this responsibility? I know the importance of a doctor's work, Dr. Chin. I will take 3 minutes of your time. If I can't get the information I want within 3 minutes, I'll leave immediately. Ning Cheng sat down in front of Dr. Chin unceremoniously and stared at him blankly. Now, a mad and fierce temperament overflowed from Ning Cheng. Although Ning Cheng has a handsome face. But Dr. Chin stared at Ning Cheng's ruthless eyes, and he was instantly horrified, and a coolness penetrated his back. Knock up. The watch was removed by Ning Cheng and placed on the table. The 3-minute timer starts. Crazy, fierce, domineering. The very aggressive temperament makes Ning Cheng look like he is in power, the master of life and death, which makes people feel intimidated. Mu Xiaoyu sensed the change in Ning Cheng's temperament, and instead of being afraid, she showed ecstasy. She has seen the video of Ning Cheng interrogating Zhang Dongyang, and she knows that this is Ning Cheng's psychological pressure method, which is very useful. The watch was placed on the table by Ning Cheng, who did not speak. The second hand, tick-tock, turns gently. More than a minute passed. Dr. Chin was stared at his heart and swallowed. If you have any questions, police officer, just ask. Okay, this is what you asked me to ask, not my initiative. Ning Cheng said flatly. I hope you answer truthfully and don't lie. Okay, don't lie. This Dr. Chin secretly wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, feeling that the young police officer in front of him was even more powerful than the provincial hospital director. Provincial hospital nurse Jung Yunyan, familiar? Ning Cheng asked. Familiar, familiar. She opened the prescription for sleeping pills with you. Yes, Ning Cheng asked. When did you order her? The 15th, the day before yesterday. Dr. Chin, are you kidding me? Ning Cheng's mouth curved upwards, picked up the watch on the table, and glanced coldly. There are 30 seconds left, one last chance. Single quote. I don't care why you lied. Did Jung Union take control of you, know that you were cheating, and that you were corrupt? You have to know clearly that Jung Union can control your handle. We can take a little time to know more and investigate you more deeply. What will be the consequences of police intervention? You know the danger better. Dr. Chin's body trembled and looked at Ning Cheng with a little panic. I've finished speaking, there are 10 seconds left. Ning Cheng said coldly, holding his watch. 19. Dr. Chin just counted down to 9, and sighed in pain, and finally couldn't bear it anymore. I lied just now. Jung Union placed the order on the 16th yesterday. She has my handle and threatened me. Very good. Dr. Chin remembers these words, I have recorded them. Ning Cheng got up and left decisively, without any desire to find out what this Dr. Chin's handle was. Mu Xiaoyu's eyes were reluctant to part with this Dr. Chin. Of course I don't like this bald doctor. But she wanted to know what this Dr. Chin's handle was. But Ning Cheng didn't ask any questions and left, and Mu Xiaoyu had to follow Ning Cheng out of the hospital. Ning Cheng, you are amazing, you can do it in 3 minutes. Mu Xiaoyu chased after Ning Cheng. But why didn't you ask the doctor what's the reason? You want to know. Xiao Ning, you know, girls are very gossipy, can you satisfy my curiosity? Mu Xiaoyu blinked at Ning Cheng and said cutely. Drive Chin is a good. I asked him for an hour or two just now, and they all lied to me. Can you tell me the reason? Ning Cheng said. I don't have any specific information about the doctor, but I have some guesses. What guess? He should be cheating. Cheating? Why is this? Mu Xiaoyu asked curiously. A place like a hospital shouldn't be prone to corruption. The doctor just now looked like he was in his 40s. He was staying in the first hospital in the province and was in an important position like a pharmacist. It is very unlikely that he could reach the middle class level without corruption. Ning Cheng said. It is inferred that he cheated because the doctor balked. Mu Xiaoyu questioned. At his age, doctors are under a lot of pressure, so baldness is normal, right? It's normal, but what's not normal is that his bald hair has been treated and decorated, and he has also applied wax and gel to set it. Ning Cheng walked and said with a smile. A doctor in his 40s, in this high-intensity and stressful occupation, his life is basically in a state of health preservation, but that Dr. Chin still has a leisurely and elegant way to maintain his personal image, and he may have an extramarital affair. Women are the ones who please themselves, and the same applies to men. Although this is just my personal guess, but through the pressure just now, there should obviously be a sign. At this moment, Mu Xiaoyu trembled and looked at Ning Cheng in horror. Why are you looking at me like that? Mu Xiaoyu was a little terrified and said, you can see through that Dr. Chin in just a few minutes. I've been with you for so long, have you seen me through too? You don't need to see through, Ning Cheng smiled and said. You mean I'm simple enough to understand without even looking at it? Mu Xiaoyu snorted softly. Ning Cheng laughed dumbly and did not speak. In fact, he didn't even observe Mu Xiaoyu at all. Mu Xiaoyu is not a murderer, he will not easily use his world-class insight to spy on her, otherwise he will discover too many secrets. Ning Cheng itself has many secrets. He respects other people's secrets and won't snoop easily. That doctor may have an extramarital affair, this greasy old scumbag, do you want to tell his wife? Mu Xiaoyu couldn't stand the scumbag and asked hesitantly. I made a promise with that doctor that I won't tell him what to do with him. If you didn't make an agreement with him, you can make up your mind at will. Ning Cheng called a taxi from his mobile phone and said, I have another thing to do now. Interrogate Jung Union and reveal the truth to expose her. The two sisters Jung Union and Jung Lingyun are pitiful people. It's too cruel to announce them directly. I don't want to do this. Ning Cheng shook his head and looked far into the distance. The bell still needs to be tied. Jung Lingyun committed a murder case. Her sister can make such a big sacrifice for her. I want to see if she is worth it. If she's not worth it, then I'll deal with it. Chapter 51. Zhongcheng 13 Middle School. When Ning Cheng walked into this school, he could feel a distinct youthful atmosphere. White high-rise buildings, well-ordered stairs, flowers and plants can be seen everywhere along the road, clear reading sounds and boys and girls in school uniforms. Ning Cheng walks in here looking out of place. Although his face is very young, the maturity and fierceness of his body cannot be concealed. At a glance, you can tell that it is not a college student or a teacher. So handsome, is that the teacher's boyfriend? It's so handsome, even better than the stars on TV. Ning Cheng could hear the secret observations and whispers of the surrounding girls. He ignored it and went straight to Zheng Lingyun's class. Ning Cheng clearly remembers the transcript of Zheng Lingyun. Her class is in class 7 of senior 2. When Ning Cheng arrived in class 7, there was still an English class inside. Ning Cheng didn't bother and stood outside waiting for the class to finish. After the English class, Ning Cheng knocked on the door. The students in the class all raised their heads to look at the door. The face was so handsome that even the female English teacher took a second glance. "You are?" the English teacher asked. "I'm Zheng Lingyun's brother, I want to chat with her." In order to avoid causing trouble to Zheng Lingyun, Ning Cheng concealed his identity. The English teacher was a little surprised. She had never heard that Zheng Lingyun had a brother and was so handsome. "Teacher, I'm going out." Zheng Lingyun has recognized Ning Cheng. Even though she only met once in the house yesterday, she was still impressed. Ning Cheng brings Zheng Lingyun to the school playground runway. "Do you know that your sister has already surrendered to the police station, saying that she killed your grandmother's deceased Zheng Ling?" Ning Cheng asked directly. Zheng Lingyun's body trembled violently, her teeth tightly biting her cherry lips. Even if Ning Cheng didn't go to see Zheng Lingyun, she knew how she was reacting now. In your grandmother Zheng Ling's oral saliva, the forensic doctor detected the ingredients of sleeping pills. At the same time, we also found the murder weapon, the kitchen knife. These are all physical evidence. The prescription for sleeping pills has your sister Zheng Yunyun's name on it, and the murder weapon kitchen knife only has your sister's fingerprints on it. In addition, she voluntarily surrendered herself. Do you think she is the murderer? Ning Cheng's light voice made Zheng Lingyun almost breathless, feeling that she was about to suffocate. She knew that her sister was to blame for her. "According to our investigation and interview, we learned that your sister has always been valued by Grandma Zheng Ling. On the contrary, you have been subjected to long-term verbal and physical abuse by Zheng Ling." Ning Cheng continued to stroll leisurely with Zheng Lingyun, and said softly. "She had no motive for murder, but now she has become a murderer. Do you know the meaning of that?" Zheng Lingyun stopped, her eyes were red. Ning Cheng also stopped and turned to look at her. "I think when your sister received your call, I'm afraid she made up her mind to take the blame for you. This is the best way. Only in this way can an explanation be given to all parties, so that you can continue to live safely." So that day, she opened a prescription for sleeping pills at the hospital, went home and set up the crime scene, put the sleeping pills in your grandmother's mouth and stomach deliberately, and then wiped your fingerprints on the murder weapon. All the evidence points to her. Even she admits and surrenders herself. As long as she doesn't take the initiative to prosecute, and you don't admit it, the case may end like this. The tears in Zheng Lingyun's eyes dazzled. She covered her mouth tightly to prevent herself from making a sound. Sister Zheng Yunyan told her that she must not show any suspicious expressions in front of Ning Cheng. Because the coolest cop is the easiest one to see through their plans. As long as she shows the suspicion and expression of the murderer, the plan will be shattered, and all her sacrifices will be wasted. "I know your sister Zheng Yunyan told you the plan before surrendering, and told you to stick to it, otherwise her sacrifices might be wasted." Ning Cheng shook his head gently. "I didn't come here to induce you to admit the facts of the crime, I just wanted to know, as Zheng Yunyan's sister, are you worthy of her doing this?" Zheng Lingyun's expression fell into pain, and her face was pale and devoid of human color. "Officer Ning, you're right. My sister has praised you. In front of you, with those eyes staring at you, she will feel that she has been seen through and will feel uneasy. Actually, I am the same, I am also very disturbed." Zheng Lingyun stood up slowly, and the pear blossoms dyed her makeup with rain. "You ask me a question, and I'll ask you a question. My father and my mother divorced more than 10 years ago, and my father was unable to support me, so I stayed in the Zheng family. Since then, Zheng Ling didn't treat me like a human being, called me a fool, took out the trash, and smoked with a feather duster. Zheng Ran stood on the side watching, and didn't even dare to say a word to stop me. I've lived like this for more than 10 years. Except for my sister who loves me, who has said a word for me. Staring at Zhang Lingyun's painful eyes, Ning Cheng fell silent. Exclude the girl Zhang Lingyun from murdering. She is actually a victim. Since childhood, she has been verbally abused by Zhang Ling for more than 10 years, which has caused huge physical and psychological trauma to Zhang Lingyun. So when the backlog of hatred broke out, Zhang Lingyun would kill Zhang Ling. Even if Zhang Ling is her grandmother by blood. But the hurt from relatives is the deepest and most painful. Grandma's abuse, mother's indifference. Ning Cheng left Zhongcheng No. 13 middle school and accidentally saw Mu Xiaoyu at the school gate. What happened? Will Zhang Lingyun take the initiative to surrender? Mu Xiaoyu asked. We've already found a loophole in Zhang Yunyan's layout, which can be disclosed directly, no need for such trouble at all. Their sisters are already pitiful. It would be too cruel for them to do that. Ning Cheng raised his head and glanced at the school. I believe that Zhang Lingyun is kind by nature, and she deserves what her sister Zhang Yunyan did. Okay, what should I do now? Mu Xiaoyu asked. Go and interrogate Zhang Yunyan. Ning Cheng said. Before interrogating her, there is one more thing to do. What's the matter? Do you know how to write? Ning Cheng asked suddenly. Manuscript. Why do you ask that? It's okay. Ning Cheng shook his head and drove to the police station. Go and meet the layout's sister Zhang Yunyan. After arriving at the police station, colleagues in the police station were talking. Especially the members of the criminal investigation team, all eyes fell on Ning Cheng. Those discussions were all about Zhang Yunyan's voluntary surrender, and Ning Cheng's remarks about the murderer's misjudgment. Ning Cheng ignored those discussions. For him, the truth of the case is the most important thing. But, however, Mu Xiaoyu couldn't bear these joking remarks, so she glared at her, and directly replied. If there is anything you want to say, just say it to your face, cringe like a fool. Now that the case is not closed, what are you talking about? Ugly, and jealous of Ning Cheng's handsome appearance, where's the face? Mu Xiaoyu rarely went into a rage, which caught many police officers off guard. You. Ning Cheng looked at Mu Xiaoyu helplessly, not knowing what to say. You go to the interrogation room, I will go to the director's office to make a case statement. When the words fell, Ning Cheng walked into Zhang Chao's office to make a case statement. The purpose of making the case statement is that Ning Cheng needs his support. Because now Zhang Yunyan has voluntarily surrendered and confessed to the murder, which may lead to the case being closed. To overturn this result, Ning Cheng needs leadership support to continue the investigation. Office. The director, Ning Cheng, valued Ning Cheng very much. When he saw him coming to the office, he greeted him and sat down. It's okay, you won't come to my office, what happened? Zhang Chao poured the tea ceremony. As for the case of robbery and murder that I was responsible for, there are still many doubts in the case. The murderer is not Zhang Yunyan. Not Zhang Yunyan. Zhang Chao paid attention to the case of Ning Cheng, and said in surprise. Didn't Zhang Yunyan voluntarily surrender and admit to the murder? Single quote. Zhang Yunyan is the top offender. I'll give you a statement about the case first. After you understand it, you should be clear. It took half an hour for Ning Cheng to explain the ins and outs of the case to Zhang Chao. It turns out that this is the case. It's incredible that the case has so many secrets. Zhang Chao glanced at Ning Cheng and couldn't help feeling startled. He thought it was Ning Cheng's misjudgment of the murderer, but he didn't expect Ning Cheng to dig out the deep inside story of the case. It's amazing. Don't worry, I will support and cooperate with your work, and the case will not be closed until you return the complete truth of the case. After receiving Zhang Chao's support, Ning Cheng entered the interrogation room. In the interrogation room, Zhang Yunyan was expressionless and did not mean to speak at all. Why do you want your sister to take the blame? After Ning Cheng sat down, he went straight to the point. Zhang Yunyan shook her head and pretended to be confused. I don't understand what you mean. In front of me, there is no need to hide the facts, I already know everything. Ning Cheng calmly said, although the murder weapon has your fingerprints, and the sleeping pill's prescription is your name, these alone are not enough to confirm that you are the murderer. Where can't you? Zhang Yunyan asked. Murder motive. Ning Cheng said. According to the investigation and interview, your grandmother Zhang Ling values you very much and treats you very well, but she often abuses your sister. Your motive for murdering your grandmother is very weak. No, although Zhang Ling treats me well, my relationship with her is actually very bad. Jung Union took a deep breath, shook her head and said, Jung Ling is very traditional. She thinks that the eldest daughter, is the blood of the Jung family. She is very kind to me, and she has no shortage of food, drink and fun since she was a child. But she has strict control over me, every word and deed, from my choice of school when I was a child, to my grades, college entrance examination, love, any affairs must be interfered by her. Quote, I'm very dissatisfied with this situation, it's been suppressed for a long time. So yesterday, I totally broke out, knocked her out with sleeping pills I bought, and killed her. Quote, is my motive for murder not enough now? Ning Cheng can hear that this is Jung Union's heart. Although she has not suffered physical and psychological abuse by Jung Ling, she has been severely interfered in her life since she was a child. Jung Union also has hatred for Jung Ling. These are her true inner voices. But these real voices, it was false in the trial. Because Jung Union hates being interfered by Jung Ling's life, but it's not to the point of killing her. Ning Cheng's eyes narrowed slightly, and the confession was true or false, which was the best way to confuse the interrogators. It seems that Jung Union is fully prepared in order to take the blame and face him. Very good motive to kill, Ning Cheng smiled lightly and said, but what about the prescription for sleeping pills? I have been to the provincial hospital. According to the Dr. Chin, you issued a prescription on the 16th yesterday, not the 15th. This is his recording, listen to it. And she said that you threatened him by using his handle to make him write a prescription. After listening to the recording played by Ning Cheng, Jung Union's face instantly turned pale. She still far underestimated Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng is far more difficult to deal with than she imagined. And the loopholes in the prescription list are deadly. Ning Cheng continued. These are all your plans to commit crimes. You are using sleeping pills just to increase your suspicion of murder, showing that you are premeditating murder. But this sleeping pill was opened on the 16th, how do you explain it? In addition, when we investigated and visited the provincial hospital where you work, your colleagues all said that you left suddenly after asking for leave. That day was clearly your duty day. How do you explain these? Jung Union was speechless, unable to say anything. Ning Cheng continued to ask. Also, although the communication records of you and your sister's mobile phones have been deleted, it is not difficult to restore the communication records. It can prove that you have had a contact call that day. Also, you let your sister go to your classmate's house. Although it's on the weekend, it's very sudden to take the liberty to go to someone else's house. We asked your sister's classmate and she didn't invite your sister to her house. This alibi is not sufficient. Quote, I said I was the murderer, and my fingerprints were all on the murder weapon. I admit that I was the murderer. Don't look further down. Jung Union was pale and looked at Ning Cheng with trembling. You must investigate. The more you investigate, the more suspicious you will find. Do you think your sister is worth your blame for her? Jung Union said nothing, closed her eyes tightly, and did not speak any further. But Ning Cheng's words broke her. I went to school to meet your sister. I've said everything I need to say. What do you think she will do? Suddenly, Jung Union suddenly opened her eyes, and tears could not help falling from her eyes. Why do that? She has lived so hard since she was a child. She is my younger sister. When I was a child, I witnessed with my own eyes that she was severely beaten. She had to wash the dishes and take out the garbage every day. Under Jung Ling's whip, she didn't have a good life. Jung Ling is her grandmother, but she is so cruel to her. Jung Ran was not worthy of being a mother, she was cowardly and incompetent, and dared not stop her with a single word. Dad was forced away, and there is no way to protect us and protect my sister. I'm her only sister, she's my sister, even if I don't feel bad for her, who does not feel bad for her? Jung Union almost cried like a roar, as if to vent all the emotions that had been accumulated for many years. Ning Cheng was silent. At this time, a police officer came out of the interrogation room and said to Ning Cheng in surprise. Jung Lingyun came to the police station and voluntarily surrendered herself, admitting that she was the real murderer, and her sister Jung Union took the blame for her. Following her sister Jung Lingyun's voluntary surrender, she confessed to the murder. The case is closed. When the truth was completely revealed, the police in the police station were silent. The younger sister Jung Lingyun is a 17-year-old girl in bloom, and she clearly has a bright future in her youth. But he committed a murder case. The deceased was her grandmother Zheng Ling. Because of the insult and abuse of Zheng Lingyun for more than 10 years, Zheng Lingyun broke out. In this one, the grandmother's abuse, the mother's indifference, the father's departure. How miserable and hopeless Zheng Lingyun's life can be seen and known. Fortunately, Zheng Lingyun also has a sister Zheng Yunyan who treats her very well. Sister Zheng Yunyan gave her sister Zheng Lingyun hope to live. Zheng Yunyan not only did not despise her sister because of her grandmother's value, but insulted her. Instead, he sympathized with his sister since childhood, took pity on her, and assumed the responsibilities of father and mother to protect her. When the case happened, Sister Zheng Yunyan even did not hesitate to take the blame. This kind of deep love between sisters makes people sigh. Sorry too. Hey, what's this case called? If anyone saw her sister Zheng Lingyun being abused back then and helped her out, it wouldn't lead to the current result. The case was discussed in the police station, and they all felt pity. Especially the female police officer, her eyes couldn't help but turn red. They are the police, they understand the law and the truth, but they also know the love. Ning Cheng is really powerful, his eyes are vicious, and he can solve such a top crime case. Ning Cheng's insight and ability to break the game are top-notch. In this case, the suspects are all pushed to the body of my sister Zheng Yunyan. If he hadn't found the loophole, we might have nothing to do. Ning Cheng's eternal God, he will lead the team in the future, and I must follow him to make a contribution. Within the criminal investigation team, the topic of police officers shifted from sympathy for the sisters to Ning Cheng. Where is Ning Cheng now? Why didn't I see him go to the office to accept the award? This case is difficult and influential. I wonder if Ning Cheng and Mu Xiaoyu can get a collective third-class merit. At this time, many colleagues looked at Chen Yang and Lu Qi in the corner, and their eyes were full of jokes. The two were also in Ning Cheng's team. It's just that Chen Yang and Lu Qi's case-solving direction is opposite to that of Ning Cheng. Now that the truth of the case has been announced, the credit goes to Chen Yang and Lu Qi. Watching those playful eyes, Chen Yang and Lu Qi are heartbroken. The truth of the case proves that Ning Cheng is right. Not only are they inferior to Ning Cheng in their ability to solve cases, but the operation of jumping back is extremely stupid at this time. They joined the criminal investigation team. Where did they get credit? In the office, Ning Cheng and Mu Xiaoyu are receiving awards, and they must have a collective third-class merit. But now they don't have it. Office. Director Zhang Chao looked at Ning Cheng with a laugh, haha, his eyes full of admiration. Ning Cheng, congratulations, you solved another case. Your ability is really strong. This case will give you and Mu Xiaoyu a third-class merit. In addition, in view of your outstanding ability, after the above meeting and discussion, you are specially approved to be transferred from the internship period to a regular and awarded the rank of first-level police officer. Ning Cheng's eyes lit up and his heart was full of excitement. After entering the police system, each police officer has a 1-year probationary period. Now Ning Cheng has the opportunity to become a regular in advance by virtue of his strength and consecutive cases. Being transferred to a regular position in advance means that Ning Cheng now has a lot of rights. It's like having a gun. In addition, the police have job rank. The rank of ordinary police officers is the second-level police officer, such as the Ning Cheng first-level police officer, which is much higher than the former. Of course, there are superintendents and other high-ranking police titles behind the police officers. After listening to Zhang Chao's words, Ning Cheng immediately expressed his gratitude. Xiao Ning, these are what you deserve. For example, the case of Zheng Lingyun and Zheng Yunyan's sisters is quite difficult. Once our police make a misjudgment, it will have a very bad impact. Zhang Chao looked at Ning Cheng, smiled and said, another good thing to tell you. What good thing? Ning Cheng asked curiously. Being interviewed, Zhang Chao said with a smile, because you have cracked cases many times, you have been noticed by the city bureau and the provincial department. Your ability is strong and your image is positive, which is worthy of our publicity. For an interview, Ning Cheng wasn't much surprised, very calm. Maybe other people like to be famous, but Ning Cheng thinks it's better to keep a low profile. To be interviewed, if you have time, it is better to look at the file and find clues. However, Zhang Chao and Mu Xiaoyu in the office disagreed. Accepting an interview, or a new media unit directly under the province, this is an opportunity that many people cannot envy. This is an honorable resume. And maybe you can get the appreciation of a higher-level big man. Get ready in the afternoon, pay attention to your image, the reporter will come to interview you. It is good, Ning Cheng responded and walked out of the office. Not long after Mu Xiaoyu's publicity, almost the entire bureau knew that Ning Cheng was going to be interviewed. Chen Yong looked at Ning Cheng with a calm face, and felt even more uncomfortable. Why is Ning Cheng so powerful? He is a batch of dishes. Look, why are there hot searches about Zheng Yunyin's case on major online platforms? While all the colleagues were discussing Ning Cheng's interview, Sister Lu in the office who likes to surf the internet suddenly shouted. The police officers of the criminal investigation team turned on their mobile phones one after another and found the hot searches of the case on the internet. The hot search was about the details of the murder case of Sister Zheng Lingyun. The hot search case introduced that Sister Zheng Lingyun's motive for killing was long-term abuse, and after the incident, the sister took the initiative to take the blame for her sister. Child abuse, mother indifference, sisterhood. These factors made countless netizens cry. It also made Zheng Lingyun's case a news hotspot. Countless netizens below are all Zheng Yunyin, and Zheng Lingyun's sister felt pity and pleaded for them one after another. Although the law is inappropriate, it can be handled as appropriate in consideration of the actual situation. When the police officers of the criminal investigation team saw the pleading comments of netizens, they felt the same way and burst into tears. Mu Xiaoyu glanced at Ning Cheng quietly, and the question of Ning Cheng asking her whether she would write a manuscript came to her mind some time ago. Ning Cheng, did you take the initiative to reveal the details of the case on the internet? Mu Xiaoyu knew that Ning Cheng would not divulge the details of the case easily. However, this case is special. Mu Xiaoyu had an almost intuitive feeling. Ning Cheng didn't want to reveal it, and instead asked, "Why do you say that? I seem like someone who would take the initiative to disclose the case. Although you wouldn't do it, but this case is special, I feel you will." Single quote. Women's terrible intuition. Ning Cheng sighed, a little helpless. I'm a girl, okay. I'm not a woman, so I can't say I'm a woman, or I'll kill you, Mu Xiaoyu said angrily, showing her little white tiger teeth. Ning Cheng laughed dumbly and said solemnly, "Their sisters are pitiful people, and I am very weak alone, so let the majority of netizens evaluate them. The law is not merciless, but the law also has warmth. As for the disclosure of the case, it was sent by a legal friend from my police academy. He also wants to try to help the Zheng sisters. Can you keep a secret for me?" Ning Cheng asked. "Of course you can, but you can't call me a woman in the future, it's unbearable." Mu Xiaoyu's little tiger's teeth were sharp and stared at Ning Cheng. In the afternoon, when it was about to get off work, the reporter from the unit directly under the province finally arrived. But surprisingly, the reporter is a beautiful woman with a very high appearance. Many colleagues cast envious glances at Ning Cheng again. "Officer Ning, hello, I'm Yi Wanzhou, a reporter from the provincial newspaper. It's a pleasure to meet you and interview you." Yi Wanzhou is slim, graceful, and has a very capable temperament. In terms of appearance and temperament, it is not inferior to Zhou Ziyan. In Yi Wanzhou's eyes, Ning Cheng is even better. Ning Cheng's superior appearance is the most handsome one she has ever seen. Not to mention the results learned in advance. A proper man. As long as it continues to develop in the future, it will definitely be brilliant and Tengda will have a bright future. Nice to meet you, Reporter Yi. Ning Cheng and reporter Yi Wanzhou briefly met. When will the interview take place? I've already heard about Officer Ning's deeds. Why don't I invite Officer Ning to have a meal and then interview him in detail? Yi Wanzhou is not limited to simply interviewing Ning Cheng, but also wants to make friends. It's time to get off work, and Ning Cheng has nothing to do. He sat in Yi Wanzhou's BMW and followed Yi Wanzhou into the commercial center of Zhongcheng. An upscale cafe. Yi Wanzhou put down the tape recorder and started the interview. I heard that Officer Ning has just become a police officer and has already solved many major cases in a row. Yi Wanzhou thought of Ning Cheng's record that he had learned about in advance, and said with admiration in his eyes. Officer Ning is really good, it seems that you were born to do this. I've won the prize. Other colleagues are not worse than me. I'm just lucky. Officer Ning, but he's really joking. Yi Wanzhou glared at Ning Cheng with a charming aura, and said with an angry smile. Zhang Dongyang's case is a national sensation. If anyone knows that Officer Ning cracked it, it will definitely shock the whole country. Especially Officer Ning was only in the trainee stage at the time, and it would shock the police community even more. And the arrest of Zhao Tianfang, such a powerful murderer, was taken down by Officer Ning single-handedly. There is also Gao Tianlong, a drug criminal from Wanggang village, who is being pursued at the speed of life and death. Officer Ning's case was solved, which one was due to luck. Yi Wanzhou's praise for the cases solved by Ning Cheng is very familiar, which makes people very comfortable. Even Ning Cheng had to admit. This beautiful reporter from the provincial newspaper in front of her has a very high EQ. Reporter Yi knows my case very well, do you still need to interview me? Ning Cheng laughed. I only know about Officer Ning's case-solving situation, but I don't know what kind of person Officer Ning is. Yi Wanzhou smiled casually, took a sip of coffee and said, I came to interview Officer Ning specially to find out who Officer Ning is and what kind of image he looks like. I don't understand. Ning Cheng shook his head lightly. I heard that Officer Ning is proficient in many abilities, which will be revealed when solving cases. Yi Wanzhou said, especially I heard that Officer Ning's eyes have strong insight, and he can see through criminals at a glance. I wonder if it's true. Ning Cheng immediately denied. Fake, what can see through people at a glance, it's just judged by clues. Yi Wanzhou smiled slightly, shook his head and said, really, I don't believe it. Officer Ning, this is not a police station, nor is it facing the general public, can you show me your abilities and see through me? Yi Wanzhou, dressed in a pale red OL beauty outfit, stood up slightly, her face close to Ning Cheng's face. Those sparkling and charming eyes are full of curiosity. The seductive body fragrance penetrated the tip of Ning Cheng's nose. No matter who it is, it seems that no one can refuse the request of a stunner like Yi Wanzhou. Ning Cheng looked directly at Yi Wanzhou. Between a glance, looking from top to bottom, he did see a lot of information on Yi Wanzhou. But Ning Cheng's rule is to never use his abilities to spy on the secrets and privacy of non-criminals. He immediately withdrew his sight. Sorry, I can't see through, I don't have that magical ability. Ning Cheng said. Officer Ning, just satisfy my curiosity, okay. Yi Wanzhou said to Ning Cheng coquettishly, full of the shyness of a little woman. If anyone is full of machismo, they will definitely be satisfied immediately. Ning Cheng replied lightly, no. Yi Wanzhou's eyes were full of disappointment and a little angry, but he was still polite on the surface. Okay, thank you Officer Ning for your answer. Yi Wanzhou was still a little unwilling to give up, and continued to ask. I don't have any insight, but I heard that Officer Ning's temperament is very shocking. He will become crazy and terrifying, and criminals will be afraid of you, right? Ning Cheng glanced at Yi Wanzhou. He naturally has a world-class performance amazing. But this powerful skill is not used to flatter women. And he has too many skills and too much limelight, so it's better to keep a low profile now. My temperament is very ordinary. What criminals are afraid of is my police status. They are criminals. It is normal to be afraid of being punished. Ning Cheng said softly, I'm just an ordinary police officer. I can solve major cases even if I'm a little stronger than myself, and most of them rely on the cooperation of the police station. That's right, who can see through people at a glance and change their temperament? Yi Wanzhou was completely disappointed. The Ning Cheng in front of me is not only amazing in appearance, but also in ability. But it's not as strong as the legends say. Officer Ning, let's start the interview. After being disappointed, Yi Wanzhou regained his sense of calm and began to inquire about the details of solving the case as usual. Ning Cheng answered truthfully what he could say, and what he could not say, Ning Cheng also told frankly. The atmosphere was very harmonious, and the interview did not end until 6 p.m. Thank you, Officer Ning, for your cooperation, and thank you for Officer Ning's contribution to the people of Zhangcheng. Yi Wanzhou closed the notebook and thanked Ning Cheng with a smile. Officer Ning, do you want to have dinner together? No, thank you for the coffee, I'll just go home and eat it. Then don't send it. Yi Wanzhou saw the meaning of Ning Cheng's departure and did not force it. Yi Wanzhou is naturally willing to eat with a handsome boy like Ning Cheng. But since Ning Cheng refused, she wouldn't force it. Ning Cheng hasn't reached that value yet, it's worth her to put down her self-esteem and ask for this meal. If only Ning Cheng was as powerful as rumored. That's all it takes. Ning Cheng left the cafe. At the same time, a system prompt sounded in his mind. Congratulations to the host for cracking the crime of Zheng Union, you can receive the following rewards. Reward 1. 3 seconds of unlimited hypnotism. Effect. Make the hypnotized subject fall into a trance state for 3 seconds. Reward 2. 1 million level Kawasaki locomotive. 3 seconds of unlimited hypnotism. Looking at the skill prompt displayed by the system, Ning Cheng's eyes suddenly lit up. This is a very powerful skill. As long as it is used well, the effect will be almost bug-free. Don't look at the hypnotic effect time as only 3 seconds. But 3 seconds is enough to do a lot of things. Even a turnaround against the wind. For example, Ning Cheng is pointed at a gun by a criminal, as long as Ning Cheng activates the hypnosis skill. After 3 seconds, the situation turned into Ning Cheng pointing a gun at the criminal. At that time, I am afraid that criminals will be stupid. As for the $1 million Kawasaki motorcycle, Ning Cheng has no pressure to buy such a big toy with the money in the stock market now. Officer Ning, why are you still here? Yi Wanzhou asked Ning Cheng aloud when he saw Ning Cheng standing at the entrance of the cafe. Oh, it's all right. Is there no car? Just take my car and go back. Bring you, I will take you back. Yi Wanzhou said with a light smile. Ning Cheng didn't refuse. That's fine too. The two walked out of the cafe and were about to leave the center of the mall. But at this time, many customers in the mall ran out desperately, looking panicked and screaming. What's the matter? Ning Cheng grabbed a customer and asked. The male customer hurriedly said, in the center of the mall, a lunatic kidnapped someone with a gun and is confronting the police. Ning Cheng looked at the center of the mall, his brows narrowed, and without any hesitation, he went in the opposite direction. Yi Wanzhou frowned, thought for a while, and followed. Zhongcheng International Finance Shopping Center. In front of a boutique clothing store, a woman screamed in pain. The girl with a beautiful face was held in his arms by a young boy, not daring to move. On top of the girl's head, there was a pistol with a dark and cold light. The man's head was hidden behind the girl's head, and he let out a roar like a beast. Don't come here, I'll shoot her if you come again. I can't live, and she doesn't want to live either. Don't come here. The man in the floral shirt kept roaring, and the police not far from the opposite side stepped back one after another, advising the man to stay calm. Ning Cheng arrived at the scene quickly. The mall is surrounded by a long cordon. There are not only policemen here, but also armed policemen in bulletproof vests, all with serious expressions, hiding behind the bunker and staring at the hostage-taking murderer. Sir, this is the hostage-taking scene, you can't enter, hurry up and leave. 2 armed police officers reached out to block Ning Cheng's path. I'm a police officer, Ning Cheng said with clear credentials. It's useless for the police to come. This is not a criminal case. There may be a shootout now. In order to avoid danger, please step back and do not interfere with our armed police in handling the accident. Ning Cheng. This is the first time he has encountered such a situation, and even the police card does not work. Just when Ning Cheng wanted to leave, looking at the girl with a broken face looking at the pear blossoms with rain in the hands of the criminals, Ning Cheng still decided to stay. I think I can solve the current situation, Ning Cheng explained to the armed policeman. Brother, we specialize in surgery. You are convinced of us in criminal cases, but now the situation is very dangerous, we are not kidding. The armed policeman with a gun said impatiently. Ning Cheng has to defend himself. Suddenly, a voice came from inside, let him come in. Ning Cheng looked over, and the person inside was Zhou Ziyan. Team Zhou, why are you here? I was called by a friend from the armed police to help. How about you, aren't you being interviewed? How did you get here? The interview is over. Ning Cheng glanced at the sniper rifle in Zhou Ziyan's hand strangely, you can snipe. Why, look down on me, it's weird that I can shoot. Zhou Ziyan chuckled. Don't think that your ability is strong, you can question me casually, you are far worse than me. Ning Cheng smiled slightly, too lazy to explain. What's the situation now, why is there a gun hijacking incident? Zhou Ziyan looked at the hijacker and sighed, a very tragic story. The man and woman were originally boyfriend and girlfriend friends, but the girl changed her mind and cheated. After the boy found out that the girl was cheating, he followed him to the mall. The boy saw the cheating object next to the girl, and he took out a gun and killed him. The boy still has a lot of love for the girl in his heart. He wants to kill the girl, but he can't do it. He simply wants to take the girl to the end of the world. But this kind of thinking is impossible. Our police rushed there and surrounded him directly. Now boys and girls are in a state of collapse. We have used negotiating experts, but it's useless and can't be relieved. There's no other way. So you want to use sniping? Ning Cheng looked at the dark sniper and had a great idea of play. Sniping is useless. Zhou Ziyan looked at the men and women who were wailing, and sighed. The terrain of the mall is unfavorable, so it is not suitable for sniping at all. The man has been hiding behind the girls, and he is very vigilant. In addition, I have 3 snipers who are deployed at different points, and I can't find a suitable sniper angle. Ning Cheng asked, what about now? Let the negotiator talk, let him create opportunities for us, and then kill. But the hope is very slim. Now the murderer is very emotional, negotiation is useless at all, and I can't find a suitable sniper angle. Ning Cheng said, then let me try it. You, Zhou Ziyan questioned. Ning Cheng smiled and said, Team Zhou questioned me. I arrested the murderer Zhao Tianfeng. After hesitating for a while, Zhou Ziyan raised some hope in her heart, are you sure? Have. Seeing Ning Cheng's decisive answer, Zhou Ziyan said seriously. This negotiation is very dangerous. Zhao Tianfeng is holding a knife, and he is holding a gun. The murderer like Zhao Tianfeng has a strong will to survive. This is just an ordinary person. After his emotional breakdown, he already has the idea of seeking death. You think about it before you decide. I'm sure. Thinking of getting 3 seconds of unlimited hypnosis skills, Ning Cheng said to himself. Well, I hope you can do it, I'll help you. Zhou Ziyan was not from her mother-in-law, so she resolutely walked up to the person in charge of the armed police who was in charge of the operation and told about Ning Cheng. Hello, Officer Ning, my name is Li Gang. I'm the person in charge of this rescue operation. Are you really sure? Li Gang's voice was calm and powerful, revealing a taste of fortitude and composure. Ning Cheng glanced at his rank, good guy, 2nd level police inspector, much higher than Zhang Chao's rank. Confident. Well, I won't say much nonsense. Thank you Officer Ning for your support. What support do you need? Li Gang asked. Give me a pen. Pen. Li Gang frowned. How does the pen save people? I have my method and this is the support I need. Okay, what kind of pen do you want? Do you want a pen? Li Gang didn't ask more. As long as it's a pen, don't pick it. I happen to have a pen here, so let's lend it to Officer Ning. Behind Ning Cheng, female reporter Yi Wanzhou suddenly appeared, panting, as if running over, and handed Ning Cheng a pen. Okay, thank you. Ning Cheng was polite and took Yi Wanzhou's pen. Just when Ning Cheng was about to go out to negotiate, Li Gang grabbed him violently, frowning, you don't wear a body armor. That guy has a gun in his hand, it's very dangerous. No, wearing a bulletproof vest will make the young man vigilant, and it will appear that the negotiation is not sincere. Ning Cheng shook his head and said seriously, since we want to talk, it's better to show sincerity to the other party. This is my negotiation strategy. Are you sure? Li Gang asked again. Ning Cheng said lightly, yes. Li Gang let go of his grip on Ning Cheng's arm and didn't ask any more. Among the many negotiators he has ever met, only the top negotiators dare to negotiate with gun-wielding criminals without body armor. All of these people are the top negotiators in the country. Ning Cheng acts like a top negotiator. Whether there is a result or not, we will see you later. Yi Wanzhou watched Ning Cheng enter the cordon with a pen, his eyes lit up with brilliance. She thought of Ning Cheng's arrest of the murderer Zhao Tianfeng. In that action, according to rumors, Ning Cheng showed a powerful and terrifying temperament, which deterred the murderer Zhao Tianfeng. Then Ning Cheng seized the opportunity and broke Zhao Tianfeng's arm with a bottle, thus saving the hostage. This time Ning Cheng has such confidence to save people. Will it show that kind of temperament and ability? Zhongcheng International Finance Center. Hostage-taking scene. The perpetrator in the floral dress was emotionally broken, hiding behind the woman, tears and snot running down his face. Go away, get out. If you dare to come here again, I will kill her. Anyway, I don't want to live anymore. If you come here, I will bring you to bury you. Shen Ling, why did you betray me? Why did I treat you badly? Why did you betray me? The culprit, Li Lei, let out a roar like a beast, and his arm tightly strangled the woman's neck, making her face flushed and breathless. At the same time, the dark pistol held the woman's head firmly, making many armed police dare not move at will. Seeing that the situation is about to spiral out of control, Ning Cheng pulled the cordon off and walked into the scene of the kidnapping by the murderer. Li Lei, don't strangle anymore, your girlfriend will die. You don't want to see your girlfriend die, do you? Then you not only lose your girlfriend, you also don't have any hostages to threaten. Quote, don't come here, I'll kill her if you come again. The murderer heard Ning Cheng's voice, his body trembled with fright, the pistol was firmly against the woman's head, and he roared. Don't come here. Okay, I'll stand here, calm down, don't get excited. Ning Cheng waved his hand, stopped, and said, look with your eyes, I'm not wearing a body armor, I'm here to negotiate with you in earnest. The murderer, Li Lei, glanced at Ning Cheng quickly, with high vigilance, and immediately hid behind the woman. Ning Cheng was indeed not wearing body armor. Completely different from the previous negotiators. See, I don't have a bulletproof vest on me. Ning Cheng pulled off his upper clothes, smiled softly, and said, if you just shoot me, my life is in danger. That's why I used my life to negotiate with you, with great determination and sincerity. Quote, the murderer Li Lei calmed down a bit, and his mind fell into thinking. This scene made the armed police and Zhou Ziyan and others behind the bunker in the mall stunned. Ning Cheng negotiates really well. In a few words, the murderer was appeased. Of course this move is very risky. You don't cherish your own life, but I do quite cherish my own life, and I would never risk my own life. You should trust me, my sincerity in negotiating with you. Ning Cheng's voice was flat, but he had a fatal attraction to the murderer Li Lei. Ning Cheng negotiated without body armor. As long as you shoot him and aim, Ning Cheng may die. At this time, he was equivalent to holding two lives, including Ning Cheng's. Ning Cheng's life is in his hands, the negotiation should be real. If not true, why was Ning Cheng willing to risk his life? He can kill him anytime. Ning Cheng's psychological tricks made the murderer Li Lei think he was in control of Ning Cheng's life and gained a strong sense of security. I've already killed someone, can your police let me go? The sobbing voice of the murderer, Li Lei, carried Qi Yi. If I say yes, do you believe it? Ning Cheng asked calmly. Do not believe. National law, murder is the death penalty, how can I live? Li Lei is full of despair. He has already killed people, how can he still live? But in his heart he wanted to live. Ning Cheng nodded and said, you are right. Murder is indeed a death sentence, and the law will not be changed because of you alone. Then you play me, Li Lei said angrily. Ning Cheng stared at the murderer Li Lei. One of his eyes came out from behind the woman, his eyes full of hope and fear. Now this time, as long as Ning Cheng uses the unlimited hypnosis skill for 3 seconds, he will definitely win Li Lei. But, Ning Cheng still wants to try it. I didn't fool you. Although you will be sentenced for murder, it may be the death penalty. But now you voluntarily surrender yourself, you may get life imprisonment and save your life. Quote, in the future, if you serve your sentence in prison and behave well, your sentence can be reduced in advance. Think about your parents, give up now, and you may see them again in the future. If you make mistakes now, you will definitely not see them. Thinking of his parents and the world, the murderer Li Lei hesitated. Ning Cheng saw Li Lei's hesitation. This is the nature of Chinese people. For example, if the room is too dark, people will definitely not allow it to open the window, but if the roof is to be removed, they will consider opening the window. The same is true of Li Lei. In his heart, he thinks that he must be sentenced to death. At this time, the indefinite choice is quite tempting. Prepare me a car, I don't want to go to jail, let me go. There was an uproar around. I thought that Ning Cheng's negotiation would be successful, but Li Lei, the murderer, chose to run for his life in the end. Ning Cheng looked at the murderer Li Lei with disappointment in his eyes. This guy is hopeless. Get me a car and let me get out of here, or I'll kill her. I do what I say, I'll see the car in 10 minutes. Li Lei held a gun with a grin on his face. The horror between life and death has made him change his personality, and he can't even see the nostalgia for his girlfriend just now. If such a person escapes, they will inevitably become 200 heinous gangsters. Ning Cheng will definitely not let it go. You want a car, right? Well, if you have any other requirements, you can mention it. I'll write it down. The pen in Ning Cheng's hand is held in his right hand, and it is not abrupt when he picks it up. The sight of Li Lei, the young man with a gun, fell on the pen. Ning Cheng didn't start recording the conditions, but gently lifted the pen and tapped it on his palm. A bit, twice, 3 times. The young man with a gun, Li Lei, followed the pen up and down 3 times. When he fell into a trance state. At this moment, Ning Cheng is like a cheetah, running towards him. The speed is incredible. First second, Ning Cheng spanned a distance of 5 meters. Second, faster and farther. Straight out of the 7 meters distance. In the third second, Ning Cheng came to Li Lei, a young man with a gun. At this time, Li Lei, a young man with a gun, recovered his spirits. But he was terrified. Ning Cheng, who was just 20 meters away from him, appeared in front of him in an instant. Li Lei wants to shoot. But the moment the gun was moved, Li Lei, who was holding a gun, felt a surging force like a mountain and sea falling on him. Then his body hurt, his eyes darkened, and he couldn't feel it anymore. It seems he has no choice. The female reporter Yi Wanzhou sighed lightly. Watching Ning Cheng answer the request of the murderer Li Lei and take his own pen to record. Eyes full of disappointment, she thought that Ning Cheng came out to negotiate and could turn the tide. But it still failed. But can't blame him for that either. The previous negotiators have failed. Ning Cheng is not a professional, so failure is normal. Perhaps the arrest of the murderer Zhao Tianfang was just pure luck. Yi Wanzhou pondered in his heart, turned around and wanted to leave. But at this time, the armed police around him and Zhou Zian burst out in exclamation. I saw that Ning Cheng at the scene was like a cheetah, sprinting towards the murderer Li Lei like a thunder. Oops, Ning Cheng underestimates the enemy, the murderer has a gun in his hand, it's too dangerous. Zhou Zian looked at Ning Cheng, who ran out quickly, full of surprise and regret. She didn't want to see at all. Ning Cheng instantly turned into a corpse. Isn't he afraid of death? Yi Wanzhou's eyes suddenly narrowed, and it was difficult to understand. Now the robber Li Lei has changed his mind, and he has a gun in his hand. Ning Cheng is not wearing a body armor, and he will be in danger at any time. Courage is admirable, but it's too reckless. Yi Wanzhou looked away from Ning Cheng. She admired Ning Cheng's dedication without fear of sacrifice. However, I really don't appreciate it. Ning Cheng's actions were so dangerous that he put his own safety at risk. The robber has a gun in his hand. Over such a long distance. The robber Li Lei will definitely be able to react and raise his pistol. Next second, what Yi Wanzhou might have seen was Ning Cheng's body. Almost all the armed police saw the scene of Ning Cheng's sprint, and they were astonished and regretful. But, to their surprise, the gun in the hands of the robber Li Lei did not sound. At the same time, a scene appeared on the screen that shocked them all. Even after many years, all those who experienced on-site rescue could not forget this scene. Ning Cheng appeared in front of the robber Li Lei. He stretched out his hand suddenly, clasped Li Lei's wrist tightly, and took advantage of the situation to make a fold. Kaz. A cracking sound came out. Make everyone shudder. The gun fell to the ground, and Li Lei's wrist was instantly broken. There was no time to even let out a scream. A powerful flying kick directly hit Li Lei's chin. The robber Li Lei's body flew 3 or 4 meters away, as if he was hit by a heavy truck. Li Lei vomited blood in the air, and after landing heavily on the ground, he turned his head to look at Ning Cheng with ferocious eyes. But, at this moment, Ning Cheng's knee hit Li Lei's neck, crushing him, and then he was handcuffed with iron handcuffs, his hands curled up with his head. I'm going, it's too cruel. Clean and neat, this guy's skills are terrifying. The man was rescued by him. Why is this? The robber didn't respond. I just saw the robber in a trance, maybe I didn't expect Ning Cheng to be so bold. A surprising way to win, and Ning Cheng's speed is very fast. Swoosh, I'm afraid I'm a robber, I'm confused, it's terrible. It's terrifying. Ning Cheng is able to control the timing at that moment, it's amazing. Yi Wanzhou bit her cherry lips lightly, listening to the voice of the armed police discussing, her beautiful eyes lit up with brilliance. Ning Cheng is so scary. He not only conquered the armed police, but also conquered her, and even brought her a huge shock. There is nothing more thrilling than experiencing a hijacking incident firsthand. Although Ning Cheng did not show the kind of mysterious maniacal temperament. But at the critical moment just now, the picture of Ning Cheng's life and death saving people has been deeply imprinted in her mind. This man is extremely sturdy. Not only has the courage without fear of sacrifice, but also the ability beyond ordinary people. After subduing the robber Li Lei, what awaits him will be a death sentence. Ning Cheng handed over the person to Li Gang, the head of the armed police, and then said goodbye and left. Thank you, this is your pen. Diaresis. Ning Cheng came to Yi Wanzhou and returned the pen he just borrowed to her. It's okay, it's good to be able to help Officer Ning, and I also thank Officer Ning for saving the next life. Yi Wanzhou looked at the pen in the air and said curiously. Can you tell me why you need this pen? In the wonderful life and death rescue operation just now, the fountain pen did not seem to work. Quote. This pen has helped me a lot. Ning Cheng smiled lightly and didn't explain much. Although he has a 3-second unrestricted hypnosis that can turn things around like a bug, the hypnosis technique needs to attract the attention of the other party in order to perform it best. There are many ways to attract attention, and this is just the one used by Ning Cheng. Vaguely, Yi Wanzhou felt that the short stupor that the robber had just appeared was unusual. This police officer Ning is really mysterious, making people full of desire to explore. Congratulations to the host for saving the hostage from the murderer, holding the strong and helping the weak. You can receive the following rewards. Reward 1. World-class locomotive driving experience. Reward 2. World-class makeup skills. Reward 3. Share trends in the coming week. World-class locomotive driving experience, combined with the Kawasaki locomotives awarded by the rewards, are quite good. Makeup. This skill is also very practical. If you use it well, it can play a huge role. One of the 4 major Asian magic arts, makeup, can almost be called face-changing, and Ning Cheng is naturally aware of the power of this skill. After solving the sudden hostage-taking incident, Ning Cheng went home, took a Kawasaki motorcycle for a drive, and had a good time to relax. In the following days, the case of Zheng Yunyan and Zheng Lingyun attracted the attention of the Municipal Bureau and the Provincial Department, and a special seminar was held. Ning Cheng held a special commendation meeting in Wanggang village where he won the second-class merit. The commendation meeting is held together with the awards ceremony. From a trainee police officer to a first-level police officer, Ning Cheng is the first case in Zhongcheng. At the commendation meeting, many new trainees burst into tears. Ning Cheng came in at the same time as them. They still have more than half a year of probationary time to pass before they can be called an official police officer. But now Ning Cheng is a first-level police officer. I'm going, the gap is really too big, I just took a piece of tofu and killed it. Woo-woo-woo.jpg. It's not good for the old Zhonghu in many criminal investigation teams to watch Ning Cheng be awarded the title. Ning Cheng has only been in the police force for a few months, and now he is on par with them or even surpasses them. Isn't that going to heaven in the future? However, Ning Cheng was awarded the title, and they had nothing to say. After all, even their old man did not have such a merit as Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng, congratulations, you are promoted so fast, you will cover me in the future. Brother Ning, you are familiar with me. If you want someone to say hello in the future, you will be there whenever you call me. Ning Cheng. After the commendation ceremony and the award ceremony, Ning Cheng entered the large office of the police station at 2 p.m. I got the news from Director Zhang Chao that a large special meeting will be held at the police station, and it will be chaired by Wang Donglai Bureau, Director of the Municipal Bureau. The meeting will also attract many other experts from the City Bureau to solve a major case. After entering the office, Ning Cheng saw that the 4 captains of the criminal investigation team were there. Besides them, there were other masters in solving crimes in the city, as well as several leaders. The battle is not small. It looks like a big case, and the impact will be huge. Otherwise, there would not be so many people participating, and even the city bureau would come. In front of the big bosses, Ning Cheng kept a low profile and silently wrote down the details of the case on the electronic screen in his notebook. Ning Cheng was familiar with the case displayed on the screen, because the clues were discovered by him. He Chiuman's case of contraband sibutramine. City Bureau Wang Donglai stood up with a solemn expression and said, "The woman on the screen is called He Chiuman. According to our investigation, she is an online female anchor. During a certain arrest operation, a member of our police team arrested her, but accidentally found her at her house. The illegal drug sibutramine. Sibutramine is a contraband prohibited by my country. Although it has a weight loss effect on people, it has a huge toxic effect on the human body and is life-threatening. From the mouth of this female anchor He Chiuman, we have discovered a huge integrated business chain concerning the manufacture and sale of sibutramine. According to our multi-party control and exploration during this period, in terms of scale, this sibutramine business chain is very rare in the country at present. For customers of multiple online platforms, the initial estimate of the funds involved in the case is 150 million yuan. Many police officers at the scene took a deep breath. 150 million yuan. This number is huge. Even in the sales of poisoned products, there is no huge profit from sibutramine, and the amount involved is so high. Such a huge amount of money means that there are a large number of consumers who have been poisoned by sibutramine. The case explainer continued to explain. Pressing the button, a sibutramine sales network ecological chain appeared on the screen. In the ecological chain of sibutramine sales network, each corresponding link has the name and photo of the suspect. It can be seen that during this period, the police did their best to find out this bloody criminal network map. Now it's time to get online. Diaresis. This map is the sibutramine criminal network we found out. The sibutramine produced and sold by the criminals on the map accounts for at least 40% of the country. This scourge is in our Zhongcheng and must be eradicated. As the case interpreter, Wang Ju speaks loud and clear, and his words reveal a resolute meaning. Wang Bureau, look at this criminal map. The sibutramine case has been thoroughly investigated by our police, and the internet is about to be closed. Are you encountering difficulties now? Zhou Ziyan raised her hand and asked. Wang Donglai nodded, without denying, I did encounter a problem. Our Zhongcheng police have tried their best to control the crime. Although the criminal gang has been thoroughly investigated, but the evidence is insufficient, we can only catch the little one, but not the big fish. Because of our investigation, this group of criminals stopped manufacturing and selling sibutramine. It is difficult for us to find evidence and catch the big fish on the upper-level network. So what should I do now? Zhou Ziyan asked. Don't we have to wait until their group of criminals start selling the contraband sibutramine before we arrest the current one? Single quote. That will only block it for a while, but it will not cure it. Our goal is to eradicate this huge criminal gang. At this moment, a smile appeared on the corner of Wang Donglai's mouth. Fortunately, after the efforts of our police, we still found a breakthrough. Yes. Wang Donglai pressed the PPT button, and the picture on the screen changed again. On the screen appeared a nearly 30-year-old woman with a high appearance and a cool temperament. This very beautiful woman is called Zhao Luowei, and she is the woman in charge of the sibutramine sales chain in this criminal gang. According to our internal informant, this woman has a ledger that records the flow of sibutramine's manufacturing and sales. As long as we get this ledger, we can have evidence to completely take down this criminal gang. Quote. In that case, let's arrest Zhao Luowei. Suddenly, the criminal investigation captain in the police station, Shen Zhengyan, said. No, this woman is very vigilant. If she is arrested, it is likely to cause the group of criminals to flee, and it will be difficult to catch them all at once. Wang Donglai shook his head and rejected the plan. What about a search warrant? Zhou Ziyan asked. No, this woman seems to be a Chinese, but in fact, she has already transferred to another nationality. A rash search will cause a lot of trouble in terms of conditions, and it will cause her to be alert. Wang Donglai continued to shake his head, making the conference room quiet. Many methods have constraints. The most important thing is not to arouse the vigilance of this group of criminals, but also to achieve the goal of sweeping everything. It is really difficult to think about the right plan. Ning Cheng, tell me, is there any plan? Wang Dong looked at Ning Cheng and asked aloud. The old police officers here looked at each other, and they were too surprised. The captains and criminal investigation officers among them have solved no less cases than Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng's qualifications and status have not yet reached. It is an honor to sit on the spot for the meeting. How can he still be favored by the Wang Bureau of the Municipal Bureau? Ning Cheng was named and answered by Bureau Wang, and he probably guessed the reason. The case of sibutramine started out as a clue that Ning Cheng unearthed against He Chiuman. Wang Ju knew this, and wanted to ask him about the plan. In addition, Ning Cheng has been in the limelight recently and has repeatedly solved major cases. Ning Cheng was really favored by Wang Ju and wanted to test his abilities. As for the detachment leaders of other city bureaus, they were questioned and uncomfortable. Ning Cheng doesn't care. The case is the most important thing to him. It's none of his business if others question it or not. Where there are people, there are rivers and lakes. If you want these old rivers and lakes to be convinced, you must show the strength of repression. Ning Cheng never minds showing strength. Compared with ability, who is afraid of whom? Strength is everything. Regarding the case of sibutramine contraband and this group of criminal gangs, I think the key to breaking the situation is the salesperson in charge called Zhao Luowei. Ning Cheng stood up and looked at the woman on the screen calmly. As long as you get the ledger from her, everything can be solved and the criminal gang will be completely eradicated. There were smiles on the corners of the mouths of the old captains of many city bureaus. Who doesn't know that getting the ledger from the female criminal leader can be done once and for all? But the female leader Zhao Luowei can sell the contraband ecological chain worth 150 million yuan to the whole country at a young age. How easy is it? Just now, Wang Ju has said that many methods simply do not work, and now Ning Cheng's words are equivalent to not saying anything anymore. Wang Donglai pondered slightly, and patiently said, what about the specific plan to get the ledger? Now the means on the bright side are not good at all, and according to our investigation, this Zhao Luowei is a very cautious woman, and the means are very powerful. The means on the bright side are not enough, then use the means on the dark side to get the ledger. Ning Cheng said the plan directly, saying, send someone to approach the female leader Zhao Luowei, and then get the ledger. Many old city bureau captains looked at each other and already understood what Ning Cheng meant. Set up an undercover lurker and get the ledger. This is a good way. You mean the undercover method? Wang Ju smiled slightly, shook his head and sighed. We placed informants in this criminal gang, but it didn't work. The female leader, Zhao Luowei, is very vigilant. She hardly trusts anyone. It is difficult for us to gain her trust. Is there any plan? Wang Donglai continued to ask. Ning Cheng insisted. My plan remains the same, because this plan is the most effective under the current situation, and the input cost can be reduced to the lowest level. But we have already sent informants, and nothing has been achieved. If it doesn't work, then send a more capable police officer to get that ledger. Ning Cheng whispered. Wang Donglai was stunned for a moment, then a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Ning Cheng, are you questioning the quality of the informants we dispatched and can't get the ledger? Indeed. After hesitating for a while, Ning Cheng still spoke the truth. During the meeting, Ning Cheng leader Zhang Chao sighed in his heart. After all, Ning Cheng is still too young, and he has swelled up after solving many major cases, and he dares to say such a flamboyant speech in front of Wang Cheng. If Wang Dong said he wanted to let Ning Cheng district take the ledger, how should Ning Cheng answer? If you can't speak, don't you slap yourself in the face? Ha ha ha, young people are young people. I like them very much. They have a high-spirited vigor and unyielding energy. I am also like this when I am young. I like it very much. Wang Donglai was not angry, but felt that the rough jade of Ning Cheng still needed to be polished. Ning Cheng, you said that the informant is not good enough. If you are asked to get the account book, can you get it? The old captains of other city bureaus were full of joking smiles, thinking that Ning Cheng was still too young. Ning Cheng's face was calm and there was no panic. Since he said that sentence, he had expected the result. There is no better way to show your abilities than to solve a case. Only in cases where everyone is helpless can they truly show their abilities. Now is the perfect opportunity to shut up all those who are dissatisfied. Wang Ju wants me to tell the truth or lie. Tell the truth, what do you mean by lying? Wang Donglai didn't see the slightest panic on Ning Cheng's face, but he felt a little interesting. You tell a lie first and see. A lie is just like mud. After all, telling the truth will be too publicized. Zhang Yang, what kind of publicity is this? The police force is a place to talk about strength. If you have the strength, no one dares to make irresponsible remarks. The mediocre ones will go down, and the capable ones will come up. This is the criteria for the police force to select talents. Wang Donglai looked solemn and said solemnly to Ning Cheng, I want to hear the truth. I can get the ledger and solve this case. Ning Cheng said, I discovered the case of sibutramine, and I think I should close it. A faint voice resounded throughout the conference room. Many city CDBC bureau detachment leaders were shocked. They didn't know the details of the case, and they didn't know that the sibutramine contraband case was a clue that Ning Cheng unearthed in Hechiuman. They were really surprised. At this time, Ning Cheng dared to say these words in front of Wang Shuang, and everyone saw that Ning Cheng had strong self-confidence. Maybe Ning Cheng found some crucial clues. These old foxes no longer dared to underestimate Ning Cheng, and their eyes narrowed. Aspirational, very good, I'm asking you again, Ning Cheng, can you really get the ledger and solve this case? Wang Donglai reminded Ning Cheng and said, Ning Cheng, you are very capable, young people have ambition, and it is also a good thing to dare to fight, but you must think about it carefully. I'll give you another chance to organize the language, and you'll tell me again, if you've just been hot-blooded, I can forgive you. I don't have blood on my head, I think about it very clearly. Ning Cheng also solemnly said, this case is my discovery of clues, and I have the responsibility and obligation to detect it and avoid more victims. It is good. Wang Donglai's eyes lit up like stars, and he didn't hide his admiration for Ning Cheng, and applauded. Immediately in the conference room, many old captains also applauded. Not just because he agrees to follow the king's game, but because he appreciates Ning Cheng. Dare to say such confident words again in front of them and Wang Ju, under such strong pressure. Not only courage can cover, but also ability. The police department never shy away from being a genius. As long as Ning Cheng has enough strength to suppress them, what if they are convinced? All for the people. Ning Cheng's hot pillow and sincerity have now been fully displayed. When facing the case, when the people were being illegally violated, Ning Cheng did not hesitate or back down. Instead, he took the initiative to accept the challenge and was not afraid of the danger of the case. Such young people deserve their applause no matter what. If Ning Cheng fails to solve the case, they are at most joking. After all, young people will fall somersaults, and polishing Ning Cheng is still a good material. Very good, I like what you said very much. Since you dare to take up the task in front of me, then I will hand this case to you, Ning Cheng. Wang Donglai watched Ning Cheng and said solemnly word by word. Okay, then after I solve the case. This time Ning Cheng didn't say it too directly. But Bureau Wang and many old fox captains must be aware that Ning Cheng is asking for a reward. This is also a sly little fox. Wang Donglai thought it was very interesting, and said with a long smile, ha ha ha, if you can solve this case, I will apply for you first-class merit in person, and your police rank and position will be improved. Ning Cheng nodded in response and glanced at Zhao Luowei, the female criminal leader on the screen. How long will it take you to solve the case and get that ledger? Wang Donglai said deeply. According to our information, in 2 months, this group of criminal gangs will disperse their fronts, which is not conducive to us sweeping them all together. I'll give you 2 months, can you solve the case? Ning Cheng said calmly. 3 days, just give me 3 days. In the conference room, the pot exploded immediately. All the captains of the city bureau all looked at Ning Cheng, astonished and shocked expressions appeared one after another. They just cracked. Ning Cheng is crazy. After the meeting, the eyes of many old city bureau captains were still on Ning Cheng. What Ning Cheng said in the conference room just now is jaw-dropping. Ning Cheng actually said that it would take 3 days to solve the case and get the account book from the female crime boss. Is this possible? Totally impossible. To be able to operate a criminal chain with such a huge amount of money involved, the female person in charge is by no means a general person, and it is by no means simple. But Ning Cheng dared to brag about Heiko. I really don't know whether to praise Ning Cheng for his courage or the fearlessness of the ignorant. Ning Cheng ignored the many gazes, walked out of the conference room, and came to the office to meet Wang Bureau Wang Donglai. Inside the office, not only Wang Bureau Wang Donglai, but also the director Zhang Chao, and the captains of the criminal investigation team of the 4 police stations, Zhou Zi, Zhou Zian and others. Ning Cheng, you said you got the ledger in 3 days, are you sure you're not kidding? Wang Bureau Wang Donglai looked at Ning Cheng in surprise. It's no problem for him to believe that Ning Cheng can solve the case. Ning Cheng is very capable. He was able to dig out the clues of the sibutramine case at first, and it is possible to end the case now. But let Wang Donglai believe that Ning Cheng solved the case within 3 days and obtained the ledger evidence. He didn't believe it anyway. Not only Wang Donglai didn't believe it, but Zhou Zi and others also looked at Ning Cheng in disbelief. I'm sure, no joke. Ning Cheng replied indifferently. Since you don't believe it, you might as well wait and see. Okay, I can give you more time to solve the case. Wang Ju did not take Ning Cheng's 3-day case in Heiko seriously, and handed over a file to Ning Cheng. This is the file of the female leader Zhao Luowei, take a good look at it and tell us your plan. Ning Cheng nodded, opened the file, and read the information of the female leader Zhao Luowei. Zhao Luowei, female, 30 years old, from the Lighthouse country, both parents transferred their nationalities, her father cheated when she was young, and her mother raised Zhao Luowei alone after her divorce. Graduated from. Zhao Luowei's file information is very detailed and complete. Ning Cheng quickly browsed it, made sure that he had written it down in his mind, and gave the file to Wang Ju. Zhao Luowei, because of the complicated experience in childhood, has been very indifferent since childhood. Quote, she doesn't trust anyone, any man, and has hatred for men because of her father's cheating experience when she was young. It is very difficult for you to get that ledger from her. Wang Donglai said. Ning Cheng said, the difficulty is difficult, but as long as it is human, there are flaws. What you said is correct. Is there a specific plan to deal with Zhao Luowei? Wang Donglai asked curiously. A girl like Zhao Luowei, who graduated from a top Ivy League university like Stanford, has a high IQ, and is rich and powerful. If you want to be able to deal with her with a set of plans, it's too small to look down on her. Ning Cheng shook his head. There is no plan, you need to see Zhao Luowei in order to make a plan. Wang Ju don't have to worry about me. Single quote. No matter how daring this Zhao Luowei is, this is the country, and I don't dare to mess around. You all know that Zhao Luowei is not that simple. How dare you boast about getting the account book in Heiko in 3 days? Wang Ju smiled helplessly. Since you can clearly recognize Zhao Luowei's toughness, you must not let your guard down. The danger in this case is no less than you think. I am clear. Ning Cheng didn't explain much, nodded and said. This file only has Zhao Luowei's identity background information. Do you have her current information? For example, when she stays in Zhongcheng, where is her favorite place to go? She doesn't sell sibutramine now. What does she like to do now, and what are her recreational activities? Wang Bureau Wang Dong glanced at Zhou Zian. When you sneak into Zhao Luowei's side, the police force of the police station will fully cooperate with you, so let them tell you. The most common place for Zhao Luowei to appear during this time is Zhongcheng Starry Sky Bar. Zhou Zian immediately said. According to our information, Zhao Luowei likes to stay in bars and drink. Although she doesn't dance, she likes to watch others around her. Anything else? Ning Cheng continued to ask. No, except for this bar, most of Zhao Luowei is in her own bad company. Zhongcheng Starry Sky Bar, what's the situation? Is there any special place? There's nothing special about it. To say it's special is that the specifications are relatively high. There are rich people, and most of them are rich and rich. Zhou Zian chuckled and guessed Ning Cheng's intentions. You want to enter this bar and approach Zhao Luowei? Yes, can't it? Ning Cheng asked. It's okay, but you don't have the temperament of a man who would appear in a bar. Zhou Zian glanced at Ning Cheng and commented. Temperament is not a problem, now what? As soon as the voice fell, everyone in the office was shocked. I saw a sudden change in Ning Cheng's temperament. From the original calm and calm, it has become frivolous, exaggerated, and with a hint of madness. Just like a real scumbag, a love hunter. Flowers. Zhou Ziyan was stunned. She glared at Ning Cheng secretly, and asked. Ning Cheng, did you have a problem with your lifestyle in the past? You were a scumbag Sea King. Who said that? Don't frame me. A simple person like me is framed by you. Even jumping into the Yellow River can't be washed away. Wang Bureau, Wang Donglai and others all laughed. The temperament of Ning Cheng is really hard not to misunderstand. Ning Cheng, your temperament won't be abrupt when you appear in a bar, but this face of yours has appeared on the internet, so it's hard to guarantee that Zhao Luowei will recognize it. It's a certain risk. Wang Bureau Wang Donglai said solemnly. This is also easy to solve, wait for me for a while. Ning Cheng walked out of the office, borrowed Mu Xiaoyu's cosmetic bag, and entered the police station bathroom. Do you think Ning Cheng has a solution? ... 00. If his face is recognized, it will bring him a great danger. If it is really impossible, then cancel it. Wang Bureau Wang Donglai was full of worries. Change to one near Zhao Luowei and try to get the ledger. By the way, why isn't Ning Cheng here yet? What is he doing? It's been half an hour. Right now, the office door is pushed open again. Ning Cheng, who was wearing makeup, made the hearts of the men and women in the office beat violently. The Ning Cheng in front of him has become more handsome under the makeup. If Ning Cheng, who had no makeup before, only got 7 points, then the current Ning Cheng will be 10 points, like a man who walked out of a cartoon, dazzling, almost attracts the attention of the audience wherever he goes. Yan value men and women can kill. With good makeup, Ning Cheng in this state is not as low-key and introverted as usual, but is outspoken and full of charm. If you compare the previous Ning Cheng with the current Ning Cheng, although they have similar facial features, they give people the feeling of two completely different people as a whole. This is the magic of makeup. Is it still similar? Ning Cheng asked. No one spoke, all in shock. Zhou Ziyan's eyes fell straight on Ning Cheng, her heart pounding. At this moment, she felt as if she was in love. Where did you learn your makeup skills? Are you going to a bar to hunt down a murderer, or are you going to flirt with a girl and be a scumbag? The more Zhou Ziyan thought about it, the more angry she became, the less she wanted Ning Cheng to go to that kind of occasion. That seems to be very successful. Zhongcheng Star Bar. At night, the lights are bright, and the colorful neon lights render the street market beautifully. Outside the bar, there are many high-quality beauties and handsome guys. All kinds of luxury cars are parked in front of the bar, and there are even many sports cars. Boom! A roar like a beast attracted the attention of many handsome men and women. Everyone looked over and saw a very cool and technological locomotive parked in the parking space of the bar. A tall, muscular man lifted his legs and got out of the car. The moment he took off his helmet, the eyes of the beautiful woman outside the bar suddenly lit up, and her heart was pounding. There is only one idea in their minds. So handsome. The man in front of him has the characteristics of being tall and handsome, and his long legs are fully revealed when he just got off the locomotive. What catches everyone's eyes more is that the man's face is clear and handsome, and his facial features are perfectly cast like a knife and axe, so that he looks impeccable, just like a man from a cartoon. And his temperament, with a mature taste in frivolity, he raised his head, looked at the quartet, mad and confident. This kind of man has a story at a glance, which is really attractive. At this time, many girls took the initiative to get over. The men outside the bar had envious eyes in their eyes, but when they paid attention to the man, they couldn't help but feel good about him. With such a powerful appearance, men and women can kill both men and women, and even straight men can, tween zero, and bend. The man is naturally Ning Cheng. He politely refused the girl who asked for the contact information, and stepped directly into the door of the bar. The young security guard standing outside the bar frowned. Just as he was about to go up to stop him, he was immediately stopped by the security team leader beside him. What are you doing? The security team leader said fiercely. Team leader, that man parked his motorcycle in our parking space, which violated our rules. Breaking the rules of the fart. Open your eyes and take a good look at that car. It's a motorcycle Kawasaki HR, worth over $1 million, more expensive than the BMW next to it. You dare to ask someone to move a car like this, and you'll get out of here tomorrow. The whispers of the security team leader were heard by those around him. The woman watching Ning Cheng's back at the door, her eyes are getting brighter and brighter. To be able to afford such a big toy with $1 million locomotive, the boy must be worth a lot. At least tens of millions, hundreds of millions are possible. Now that boy is not only tall and handsome, but also rich. When Ning Cheng stepped into the Star Bar, Zhou Ziyan and others have been secretly monitoring outside the bar for a long time. Zhou Ziyan watched Ning Cheng's figure appear with a telescope. The corners of her mouth rose slightly, showing her aunt's smile throughout. But when Ning Cheng was entangled by many girls, Zhou Ziyan's smile disappeared, wishing she could just show up and beat the group of female fairies. Ning Cheng, be careful, don't mess around, this is on a mission. Listen to the voice coming from the hidden headset. Ning Cheng smiled slightly, realizing that Zhou Ziyan was reminding him not to chat up girls. Clearly, I have prepared several sets of my plan, wait for my instructions and choose a different plan. Before performing the mission, Ning Cheng had temporarily drawn up several plans for Zhao Luowei. Wait a minute, make decisions on a case-by-case basis. Zhou Ziyan remembered Ning Cheng's plan and asked. Zhao Luowei's father cheated and was raised independently by her mother, which caused her to hate men since she was a child. Is your plan to approach Zhao Luowei useful? Ning Cheng said. From a psychological analysis, Zhao Luowei's parents divorced since she was a child and was raised by her mother. She grew up in an environment of lack of love, so she will be more eager for love in her heart. But according to our investigation, Zhao Luowei is very independent and has a strong personality. Many men have chased after her, but to no avail. And those outstanding men in traditional eyes have been humiliated by Zhao Luowei. She has a tendency to trample men's self-esteem for fun. Ning Cheng whispered, this doesn't conflict with my opinion. Zhao Luowei doesn't look down on those excellent men, doesn't it mean that she doesn't lack love? Then why is there such a contradiction in Zhao Luowei? Zhou Ziyan asked, since she lacks love, shouldn't she find a man to take care of her? Team Zhou is also a woman. I think I should understand Zhao Luowei's psychology better than me. Ning Cheng walked into the bathroom of the bar, pretended to wash his hands, and whispered. Women are often Mu Chang, this is almost a gene engraved in DNA. For a woman like Zhao Luowei, she has no shortage of money, and the money she earns can't be spent in more than 10 lifetimes. She is even richer than 99% of the men in the world. Quote, as for power, if you have money, you have power. There are hundreds of people in her bad company, and her power is not small. Zhou Ziyan sat in the car and shook her head. Money and power, Zhao Luowei is indeed not small, but compared to that kind of real rich and powerful, her power and assets are almost negligible. Our intelligence investigation, Zhao Luowei was pursued by a real powerful second generation, but it didn't work. Of course it won't work. Ning Cheng chuckled. Besides power and money, there is one more important condition that is needed to completely conquer Zhao Luowei. What conditions? Zhou Ziyan asked. Your own safety. Ning Cheng explained. She manages this illegal business chain, a string is always tense in her mind, and she is anxious about her own safety. Single quote. It is precisely because she is insecure that she learns judo. Zhou Ziyan was stunned for a moment, recalling Zhao Luowei's 5th rank black belt in judo in the data. When I was reading Zhao Luowei's files, Zhou Ziyan is not as detailed as Ning Cheng thought. Are you judging that Zhao Luowei is insecure from judo? Yes, a woman like Zhao Luowei who has set foot in the forbidden area of law has a high IQ and a clear head. Ning Cheng said directly, if you want to conquer her and make her fall in love with a man, you must overpower her in terms of money, assets and power, and satisfy her own sense of security. Zhou Ziyan said subconsciously, you want to conquer that woman and get the ledger. Do you think this is making a movie, talking about love? Ning Cheng said angrily, this is a case to solve, life-threatening, not a joke. I analyzed Zhao Luowei's character according to the file, just know yourself and the enemy, so that you can survive 100 battles. Hearing Ning Cheng's cold tone, Zhou Ziyan was not angry, but a little happy. You are still very clear about it, that's good, I don't need to remind me more. Quote, I don't know if I can get close to Zhao Luowei. If I can, do as I told you. Ning Cheng washed his hands in the bathroom, looked at himself in the mirror, and said in a low voice. A woman like Zhao Luowei is very smart. She graduated from a top university and may have blood on her hands. If we want to get the ledger, we must set up a layout for her and let her go at our pace. No, Zhou Xian's beautiful eyes were full of solemnity, and she said softly, pay attention to safety, and notify us in time if there is an accident. Ning Cheng nodded and walked out of the bar's bathroom. When they came to the middle of the dance floor, they were singing and dancing, and many men and women were twisting their bodies. Ning Cheng's appearance is outstanding, and he has attracted a lot of people. Not only the young and beautiful girls leaned towards him, but even the feminine-looking boys leaned towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng had no interest and simply left. However, one of the boys with a feminine appearance was a little unwilling, and touched Ning Cheng's waist with his hand. How could Ning Cheng let this guy take advantage of him? Reach out and grab it, and suddenly twist it with force. What? In an instant, the feminine-looking boy screamed, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Do you still dare? The icy voice penetrated out, making the feminine-looking man fall into an ice cellar. Especially looking directly at those ruthless, deep eyes made him shudder. When the men beside the feminine man saw this, they immediately backed away and no longer dared to provoke Ning Cheng. Don't dare, let me go. Feminine man felt that his hand was about to break, and he kept begging for mercy. Grow your eyes in the future, or you don't know how to die, get out. After rolling out the word, the feminine man immediately left desperately, and the other men and women shrank involuntarily to make way. Now that he was on a mission, and there was a lot of confusion in the bar, Ning Cheng easily let go of the man just now. Zhao Luowei will be there, she is not on the dance floor. After Ning Cheng toured the dance floor, he didn't find Zhao Luowei. I'm not very familiar with this kind of place, I still have to find someone who knows how to do it. Ning Cheng has only been to a quiet bar, and has never been to such a lively high-end bar, so he had to find a drink sales inquiries. The liquor salesman is a good-looking girl, and Ning Cheng made the words out of it in 3 or 5 times. Quote. The card seat in the corner is it, thank you, I see, this is your consumption. Ning Cheng handed a 100 tip to the female college student who worked part-time as a liquor salesman. I don't want it, this is my phone number, if you still have any questions, you can call me. The saleswoman was about to leave Ning Cheng's phone, and then quickly entered his own number, which made him stunned. Well, he still underestimated the charm of his makeup. After getting the specific deck of Zhao Luowei, Ning Cheng got up and walked in the direction of Zhao Luowei. Really, in the booth in that corner, Zhao Luowei sat in the middle coldly. That glamorous face, Ning Cheng will never forget. He has firmly remembered Zhao Luowei's image in Zhao Luowei's file. It seems that it is not difficult to attract Zhao Luowei. Ning Cheng swept over to Zhao Luowei and found that there were nearly 10 men and women sitting beside her in the booth, like male and female models specially entertained in the bar. Those people sang, danced, and told jokes like flattery, as if to attract Zhao Luowei's attention. But Zhao Luowei ignored it completely, her eyes were cold, and she was drinking alone. I'm cold, but my mentality 1.2 likes to be lively. It seems that Zhao Luowei's psychological loneliness is very serious. Ning Cheng had already guessed Zhao Luowei's psychology, and without hesitation, he picked up a glass of wine and walked to Zhao Luowei's booth. His current image and character are a mysterious love hunter. In the face of a woman like Zhao Luowei, she is bold and active, which fits her personality very well. There has never been a shortage of people like him in the bar, and it doesn't make people feel awkward. Zhao Luowei noticed him without showing any disgust or surprise. When the bodyguards in the corner saw this, they didn't try to stop Ning Cheng. Beauty, since meeting is fate, can I sit? Although Ning Cheng asked in a questioning tone, he sat down unceremoniously. Just sitting opposite Zhao Luowei. It's time. Only then did Zhao Luowei really clearly see the face of the man in front of him. It's too handsome, not even a star. Even a woman like her, who doesn't value a man's appearance, feels a little throbbing, as if she has returned to her youthful and budding adolescence. Feeling like a girl in love. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.